11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
All right, here we go. So now we're live. It's working good. So sorry about that. I was over here filming a bunch of videos and thought I had another hour. So a little bit late. But yeah, this is the 2A Week in Review. We send out links to a whole bunch of different people that are active in 2A. Got a couple people jumped in this week. Clovertac joined in from Texas. Thanks for jumping in.
Hey, appreciate the invite.
You bet. And then G23. Are you in Oregon? Washington.
Oregon. Yep.
Oregon.
Thanks for the invite, bud.
You bet. So let's see. It is last week in February. We've got a description of this video. Has a bunch of stuff that we'll start off with. And then, like I say, I invite a whole bunch of people in each week, and we'll see who all shows up. And we'll have a conversation accordingly. So, like I said, if you're looking at this on YouTube, there's a description. And if you're looking at this, I don't know where else you'd be looking at this because I don't really post this anywhere else. So if you're looking at this on YouTube, we've got, let's see. Okay, we went to the 2A rally last Saturday. So there's a video there where we took our dash cam and showed you what it's like to drive from Tucson to Phoenix. That gave me time to talk about the rally. Then there's some still images that we zoom around on of the rally, and then the drive back. So it's just a quick video to give you an idea what it's like to drive up from Tucson to see the rally, and then some insight into what it was like compared to prior years. Long story short, it was a decent rally. Of course, everything is abbreviated and with the caveat, I guess, of this year or whatever. Let's see. Next up is we got Tony Simon did a podcast called Cowboy Up. It's his 80th episode of his podcast. I don't know how many people listen to Tony's. I really like, now that I've found that it's on YouTube, I'm an idiot and I've only been listening to the last few episodes, but I really like his format. Audio, definitely audio only, and kind of summarizing the news of the last, since his last episode, a couple of weeks. I guess he does it every couple of weeks. Gun Freedom Radio had a couple of different episodes. I don't know how many people listened to those this week. They were not the typical episodes, so we'll see if anybody listened and wants to talk about those. Second Amendment Foundation had a video up that I've linked to called save2a.us. Clover's in here, so we can eventually talk about .us extensions instead of like .com or .org that we're used to, using the .us, and then this whole save2a.us situation that they got going on. I'm going to skip around a little bit because that was Second Amendment Foundation. We also have, of course, the Daily Bullets. I did not even link to one this week. I think I listened to every one. But because they come out every week and they're almost always just introductions to whoever is on there or rehashes of the daily news, if I miss a Daily Bullet, I don't go back and watch them. I'll take insight or input to people if they got a different opinion on that. But I think I watched every one this week. But keeping in mind, I don't go back and rewatch them if I miss them. I don't think there was anything to write home about this week. I'm getting less and less interested in introductions to people, especially people I've had introductions to multiple times already. I'm looking for some more, I think. But anyway, the Save the 2A goes along with Second Amendment Foundation, along with the Daily Bullets. I guess we're going to call the Play Society podcast in there too. That was on Monday. And then tomorrow they'll have their weekly bullet, and that's like a live version of the Daily Bullet. So that was the Second Amendment Foundation stuff. The Gun Owners of America has a section of stuff we'll talk about, and the FPC has a section of stuff we'll talk about. So I think what I'm going to do with the format on this show going forward is to group all of the different organizations' efforts together. Because like I say, there's the Second Amendment Foundation doing the Daily Bullets, Weekly Bullets, Polite Society podcast, and ? Whatever else they might do. We've got FPC putting out a lot, especially if you consider each of their lawyers putting out different things under, sorry, I'm going to say it, Fudbuster, and I forget what that other guy's called, but the gun lawyer or something like that. But then their own channel. I don't even watch them all, but FPC does a lot, and then now Gun Owners of America, if you count Crump, that's one that's going on a regular basis, but then there's other stuff that happens with Gun Owners of America, and it looks like they've come out with a new thing we'll talk about here in a second. So with that in mind, there's another one that I give a whole group to in this section or this description of the video, and that in this 2A wrap-up each week, and that is Walt, who does all kinds of good work over there on his channel. So he had 3 of them that were of note this week. I think Clover had been to most of those. I haven't seen all of them live, but when I go back and watch them, I've seen that you and DJ and a couple others are checking out his stuff live.
Oh, yeah.
Well, but he does his stuff in the middle of the day, so we'll have to talk about
right.
if that's a good news or a good idea or not.
Okay.
But he had one on Utah that was good, because that's sort of a good thing, although he sees it as good. But he had the Understanding the Rhetorical, I can't think of that.
Rhetorical.
Rhetorical, thanks. Triangle. That's mainly has to put that in there for Woods, otherwise he gets all mad. And then the debunking thing with Kurt Anderson. Now he had another one that I didn't put in here. I think that was this week, the 3-hour one. And I'm also.
Was that the one with John Lovell?
Yeah, Lovell.
See, I liked that one because that was more of like typical our side, what you hear. You know what I mean? And it was interesting for Walt to.
Interesting for us, for sure, but not interesting for general blah 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 person who's
probably not
3-hour video. So that's all. But yeah, that one, and I didn't want to link to it because I don't like John Lovell, so I'm not going to link on my video. Yeah. So next we get Riding Shotgun with Charlie. He had Theresa, I don't know how to say her last name. That one was pretty good. Now there's going to be one with Riding Shotgun with Charlie that I'm not going to talk about, and I will boycott. So that's going to happen. Then we got 2A Cops. I don't know if I talked to Clover or G23 about this channel. One of my favorite new channels is 2A Cops. Everything they do at this point, I like more and more all the time. So they had one police gun control survey where these guys surveyed, I forget how many thousands of cops, and asked them stuff like, would you or do you support? And anybody who thinks cops are against guns is not paying attention to cops. These guys are paying attention to cops, and they are cops. Then the second video is police chiefs are wrong on gun control issues, another one. So these guys are just getting started, worth every amount of support you can give them, in my opinion. If I'm wrong somehow, let me know. Let's see. Next up is Locked and Loaded Latinos, who have an invite to this show, but they're probably video gaming or in love or whatever they do as a couple. But that's 2A podcast every single week. I don't even have any problem saying that. I mean, G23 has a good podcast, but you guys talk about whatever, and it's like a bunch of friends just bullshit. And, the problems you get when you have, like, kind of a smorgasbord, jump in. It's just like Gizzard, like, jump in, say whatever you want, and then somebody's talking about, like, omelets or something. So live chats are one thing. Live chats focused on 2A. I mean, they literally, hands down, best one all week. It's focused on 2A. It blows me away with the different stuff their guests and their different insights and stuff will be. Plus, it's fresh. And they're not, like, fresh, like, oh, I watched a bunch of stuff and here's my version of it, or here's like I watched a bunch of stuff and here's me saying what I've heard before. It's like the opposite. Like they're just doing it all, cutting it all new. It's great. And they're effective. It's not like just a bunch of inept people doing something new for no reason. They're literally some of the best stuff you can watch 2A wise all week long. Gun Owners America had this new thing called Minuteman Minute or something like that. So are they going head to head against the whole 2A, what are we called? The 2A, I don't know, Second Amendment Foundation came up with something called the 2A whatever, and that's where this save2a.us. It's like their JPFO version of advertising. So I don't know what's going on, but it looks like, I don't know, either Gun Owners America is doing some sort of a grassroots activist how-to DIY series that Second Amendment Foundation alluded to doing, but never has actually completed or done. Or they're both just going to talk about doing it. But this is like a 2-minute video on Gun Owners America that came out today, and I don't know if anybody saw that one. It's called "These Two Gun Haters Just Advanced in Congress." It's almost identical. I mean, it's like if Gun Owners America is Pepsi and Second Amendment Foundation is Coke. I think that's how you would say it. Or one of them is maybe RC and the other one's Pepsi. Like there is no Coke, or NRA is Coke maybe. But it's like they're just two different flavors of the same cola. It's driving me nuts at some point. And I don't know if anybody else is getting that aftertaste or not. Then we got, the hell is this? Victory against COVID 2A shutdown in North Carolina. The hell was this? Oh, that was Jared. Jared in here because he had an actual good news one. And Jared's about the only person I've seen that actually acknowledges good news also. Maybe I'm biased or I'm missing stuff. And he's not the only one, but he's the only big one, I should say. He's the only one that's got like a big voice that actually acknowledges good stuff once in a while. So I like to focus on that. We had Fireside Chats. That's Crump doing his chat, number 172 with Tony. So it's always good news to have Tony on, especially when somebody doesn't just introduce Tony and have him, like, talk about freaking 2A for E, which he did. But of course, he's also just BSing because they're friends. So way better, way more fun for me listening to Tony and somebody on a return visit from Tony instead of just here's me and here's who I am. Let's see, then we get FPC, a couple of their videos talking about the Fudbuster guy who did a Gun 101 or Gun Law 101 constructive intent. That was this morning. Again, I don't know if it's the new thing to do like daytime 2A videos, but that was like when I first woke up, so it was really early. And then this next one was the other lawyer guy who's way faster, who has like 3-minute videos all the time, and his was Rupp versus Becerra, the assault weapons ban, I think, case in California. To be honest, it's very difficult to keep up with all the California stuff that's going on.
Right.
They just have so much of it, and what's boiling or what's popping up at the moment is tough. All right, so now we're in the home stretch. We're getting towards the end. A lot of stuff because this is a weekly one now. So we got Vickers. Larry Vickers did a video just today, I think, doing an Ask Me Anything video. Those are interesting sometimes, and this one was an interesting one. And he's got cancer right now. He's kicking it. Shaved his head, doing his chemo. It's interesting to see a guy who is in Delta Force. So that's like join the Army, then go to Rangers, then go to Green Berets, then go to Delta. Definitely somebody who understands how to get stuff done and is the top of performance. Seeing somebody like that get cancer in front of everybody, it's interesting. Nobody wants to get cancer for damn sure, but if you want to get some inspiration on how to kick its ass, go watch Vickers. And it's just an interesting, he answered a lot of questions, just kind of random general questions that came in. Let's see, then we have, we did a video earlier today looking up some 2A or some NFA history. We'll see who else shows up and how long the show goes, but kind of interesting. I was looking up at I found a place on ATF. It's no leaked document, but if you put leaked document, especially with the word no in front of it, you still get the keyword leaked document in your title. So I just went to the ATF and looked for it, and I found basically how many suppressors there are, how many things are on the NFA. But even better, how many things are on the NFA since 2011. So I got to see the rates of growth of the list of items on the registry of the various types, like machine gun, short barrel rifle, and whatnot. So it's just interesting to see the rate of growth and lack of growth. There's years where just 200 or something, any other weapons come onto the registry. Like, how does that even happen? There's years where 30,000 machine guns go onto the registry. Like, how does that happen? I
can answer that.
Well, anyway, we can get all this. So the last 2 or 3 is Makojo did a video. Thank you for that, showing some of the crap I sent him. And then Barbecue, under contractual obligation, also posts videos of the crap I sent him. So thanks for that. got rid of the van. So as I die and have to sell everything, I'll be selling off more and more. So got rid of the van, not the good van, but the old van that I liked better. Now all I have is the shitty working van that's like a 2002. I had to get rid of the cool 1986 van. It was only 2 years away from being a fucking 18 van. I didn't even get $300 for it, so I don't want to talk about it. It sucks ass. Then Dead Horse showed us how to get a movie called Kentucky Rifle. So it's an old Western that's in color that you can watch for nothing, and there's a link at the bottom. So if you get sick of watching this or you can't do 2A, if you're like not even 2A, you could just go watch a movie for free because you probably like free shit if you don't like 2A. All right, that's all the stuff in the list. There are 14 people watching, which is wrong. So this person's not watching, this person's not watching, this person is not watching, and the reason they're not watching is because they're using their keyboards. I don't do shit to entertain you or to be like something to watch. You're on a computer on the internet, which is interactive, so use the interactivity. If you're a Patreon, I think there's a link out there. If there's not, feel free to jump in with the link I sent you an email. So with all that, I can shut up for a while. Thanks to you guys for jumping in and letting me rant here for 15 minutes going through the front of it. I don't know if this is the best format or not, but that gets through all the topics from the week and gives everybody a bit of a plug. I guess I didn't plug Clover because he didn't do a Thursday show. He doesn't like doing Thursday shows for lately or whatever. But you did a couple of, last week you did a daytime one with Laura. I don't know if we want to start with what's up with the daytime shows now. I do a daytime show, nobody shows up. Everybody else just starts doing daytime shows now. I'm actually
I was muted. So yeah, there's not a. I don't get a lot of people in the daytime, quite honestly, right? That's not the reason. It's certainly not. I do it because it's an awesome slot or anything. So with the new format, when I kind of changed things over with the podcast, just because of it was hard to like schedule people for a Friday or, any, that type of thing. And I kind of I didn't want to go pre-recorded. I wanted to go like I was thinking, well, the best of both worlds. Right. So now I set everything up. I record live, and I've seen others do this too, some other channels, but I set it up, record it live. And then if you're out there and if you catch the notification and if you jump in, then you can participate and ask questions and kind of like here, be a part of the conversation. And what's cool about that is, as I acknowledge you and read your questions and cover your topics or whatever the case may be, that all goes into the replay world, which is predominantly audio podcasts. So for me, it's just a change in format. It certainly wasn't because I thought I was going to get, more viewers by doing it.
Right on. So, I don't know. You've only done a couple like that, I guess. You could also, I guess we're going to keep doing it that way, potentially, at least. I guess I can explain it. But you could let your Patreons know, like, hey, there's going to be a daytime show. And then you get them to show up or something.
Well, if it's scheduled far enough in advance, it shows up on the channel page and people get notifications. But like tonight, for example, I got an email later today. I've been working on, we might get into it later, I don't know, but I've been working on something. It's one of the reasons I didn't have a Thursday show. But I've been working on some stuff, and I got an email earlier today about Texas, Pro 2A legislation in Texas. From Texas GOA. And so I went live on a Clover Tech podcast just almost spur of the moment, right? Scheduled it for like 15 minutes out. It jumped in and for about a half hour just went through, I don't know how many bills it was, but just kind of went through and gave the synopsis that was there on Texas GOA website. And then, of course, had a link to that and everything else. Encourage people to go do their own homework. And I've already had several people comment on the video and email me and stuff about that and say, hey, thanks. I know this representative, he's my representative, and this, that, and the other, which was pretty cool. So it's not just the Clover Tech podcast is not just a format to where I have a guest, because it's kind of impromptu and I do them just when they're scheduled and that sort of stuff. If something comes across my radar, I think we need to get some information out on, like this legislation. I click bam, click StreamYard, set it up for 10, 15 minutes ahead, into the future. That way there's some kind of notification that goes out, and then I go live and get it done. And then, of course, tomorrow I can push this out to the podcast realm. But yeah, if there'll be enough notice for those out there that's listening and thinking, well, that's stupid because we won't get a notification. Usually I have guests scheduled for several days out, and so that's showing up under the homepage of the channel. And but yeah, being able to maybe notify Patreon people as well as YouTube channel subscribers or channel members or whatever they're called, and some stuff like that could be beneficial. I'll take that to heart.
Well, I'm just thinking because those are probably the people that either have alerts set up on Patreon or, like you say, on YouTube. I don't know if it does. If it sends me stuff, I have it turned off on YouTube. So it may send a normal person an alert by being a channel member, like you're saying. But anyway, just to make sure you got it. Because otherwise, if you're not doing it regularly, people don't necessarily know you're there. Like I wouldn't have known. Well, I don't know. Walt usually surprises me. I'll just be sitting doing taxes or something, and I'll go look at something, and I'm like, oh shit, there's something bleeping over on YouTube, and then somebody's live right now. Yep. But anyway, I haven't seen anybody get a lot of views daytime, so like I don't think it's a strategy or anything. I think it's just a necessity or a
it's just a timing thing. I mean, for the most part, unless you're a channel that kind of revolves around the live, and there are channels that are that way, right? My channel's not that way. My channel, the linchpin, the cornerstone, the whatever you want to call it, has and always been and will be based in the evergreen and the produced, long form, long tail, we want to call it, content. So the lives are a fun way that people out there in the chat can participate, and that's really good. It's good for the morale of the listeners and stuff like that. But more importantly, at least for me, I've got to record something to put over into the many myriad of audio podcasting platforms anyway, right, for the channel. So why not do that live, regardless, and then push it over to that format or that forum. So it's just taking what you can do here and
so I don't know if you just said it weird or if you didn't even think, or if you're just thinking of it that way, but when you said doing a audio podcast, I don't know if you said verses or like whatever, but then in reference to long tail, like I don't think of that. I think of the topic or the subject to be the subject matter to be the long tail or not. Versus, because I think long tail can be a podcast or a video or an article, right? The format don't matter, right?
Well, and that would technically be true. And again, I'm giving my opinion, my perspective, but technically, yes, that would be correct. It has more to do with the topic than it does with the actual way in which the topic is discussed or recorded or produced or done. However, two things that I know, I'm not going to say we know because a lot of people may not. Live streams, as far as YouTube is concerned, is not replay of live streams is not a real huge push. And then the second problem within that, because there's two problems overall, but the B problem, if you want to call it that, within that is going to be that it takes, for me, may not be on other channels, it takes roughly 24 hours before it's available in replay for me to push that to other platforms or do other things before the live chat's available, right? It has to produce and render. So you've got that one problem with a couple of aspects in there. Second issue that you tend to deal with a live stream is just time, right? The vast majority of people that are out there, and it's like, okay, are we preaching to a choir? Are we preaching specifically to people that want to and can invest 30 minutes or an hour or whatever it is? Or are we trying to potentially sweep some people up in a net, that have, that are the 2, 3 minute, 4 minute, 5 minute people, which is the vast majority of people, real short attention span. So that's where the evergreen, the long form, some of that stuff, the produced segment. Now, if you did a 5-minute segment, pre-recorded that you produced, right, talking about a two-way thing or something like that, that could work too. there's a lot of moving parts and pieces, and for each person out there, they kind of got to figure out what works for them when they're talking about this.
And that's with current tech. I hear what you're saying.
Sure.
But yeah, having like a 3-hour thing isn't necessarily going to be searchable today. But I guess I hear what you're saying. I just don't. I'm still going to disagree because I think that technically you could still have, I don't know, like a 3-hour talk with, let's say, 200 different evergreen topics in it. But I agree with you 100% that it's effectively useless because nothing's going to data mine that, and almost nobody takes their live stream and then creates chapters or whatever to make it indexable.
That's a great point. Yeah, which is a feature that's available.
But one of the things I'm going to be emphasizing going forward, just because I'm interested more and more as I dig into it, is tech, and AI is a piece of tech. And going forward, it's just like anything. AI is already here. AI is going to get way better. It's going to change our lives. It's maybe it's not the next bubble, like automatic cars might be the next bubble or something, but AI is going to be involved in the next bubble, and then AI itself will be a bubble in the same way that the internet was a bubble. And it would be difficult to explain to somebody in 1984 the kind of bubble that was coming with the internet, because they wouldn't have understood what social media meant and what the influence of social media could be. And we're only now seeing what, some of our conversations were, I think, scared of. We just didn't know the specifics, but we knew what was potentially the worst case examples of social being used poorly.
Sure. Right.
Anyway, so like that, we don't know what the next is going to be, but I think that AI is going to give the ability to data mine all the live stuff and everything else. So when you think of what Wikipedia or IMDb or anything that's useful today, like a Google search engine or a DuckDuckGo search engine that's fairly useful for finding stuff that is indexable, that has been tagged, that has codes in the background that you don't see, that somebody went to the time or the extra effort to say, this is a picture of, or this is a live stream with GWebs G23 and CloverTac, on the left side of the screen, the middle, and the right side of the screen, with these 10 people watching and these comments. Like, no one actually tags all that, but in the future, when AI, which is just a level of complexity that we can't imagine, it will be able to go back and index. And the weird thing is that Google has already read every book. That's hard to fathom, but Google has already read every book.
Right.
So that means that they don't need to reread every book when they go to look for something now. They can just know how many times if they really wanted to, they could know how many times the word, pick a word, tortilla, was used, period, in all fiction. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's something that's useless, but somebody could figure that kind of stuff out with a big enough brain. And as those brains get faster and bigger, I'm just saying, in the future, they will data mine everything we've ever said. And there'll probably be some like social score, and somebody will find it interesting to go back and say, like, who was the most right or most correct person on YouTube in 1997, or pick a year that was actually with YouTube, 2017. Like, pick who was the most accurate person on YouTube in that year frame, and then they'll just tell AI, go figure it out, and it'll just figure it out somehow,
Yeah.
So anyway, eventually, I think that it'll change, but in today's tech, in today's world, I agree with you 100%. Anyway, that was just theoretical waste of time.
Yeah, I mean, right now, Wikipedia, IMDb, IMFDB, by the way, which is the firearm side of that, all user driven, like manual submission and stuff, right? Pretty much. And yeah, I agree with you. Eventually there will be like crawlers for search engine back in the day and whatever that, take and can compile all that automatically according to what's out there on the internet.
And it won't be like somebody's like, I'm going to Google search this, but it might be like Bloomberg will say, how many times did gun people say, I hate the president, or something crazy like that?
Right. Yep. Yeah, I can see it.
All right, well, so without getting weird about that angle of it, going back quickly through the description of this video, Let's see. It looks like we got 4 thumbs up and 1 down. So thank you for the 5 people that interacted. We have 10 people watching, so that's a 50% interaction ratio. The way the logarithms work, they think this is a mediocre at best. They have no reason to indicate to anyone else to watch this. Plus, my channel historically is hit or miss, if mostly miss. So that's not helping nothing. Let's see. We got the rally. We went up to the rally. We got Tony's Cowboy Up episode. I don't know if people have been anybody listening to Tony's podcast.
I have not, unfortunately.
Does it sort of, I don't know, G23?
I haven't. I gotta make sure I'm still subscribed to his channel.
It's I was missing it myself. He's on to episode 80. I've only listened to like 3 or 4, I think. But it's definitely podcast. And he's sitting there talking to a microphone where everything I ever do is like this, and you hear the audio version of it. Like, I don't give a crap about doing something specifically for a microphone, but Tony's definitely doing that way. So there's that angle on it. But he does it he has like, let's say, a section called, oh crap, I can't think of them now. He has like different sections, right? Oh man, let's say one of them's called the Daily Bullet, even though it's not. He'll say like, blah, 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 and then like this, welcome to the Daily Bullet section, and then blah, 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 and then we'll get back with the next section. Or sometimes we'll go, and next, coming up next is the next section, he'll name it or something. So it's like he'll record a section or a segment and then stop and do whatever. I get the impression that he just records them when he feels like it or he has the time, and then at some point he puts them together into a 40-minute, whatever it is, like long podcast, and then sends them out. But I asked him, and he said sometimes he does that, but most of the time he'll just sit down and do them all together. It's just that he does it so that he can rest in between, take a break or whatever he does. Anyway, that's the format, is like segment, it's over. So they all tie together, but they're all separate. And just him talking into the microphone, and no different than if somebody was doing a video, but not a video, so he's not like talking about something on the screen or alluding to a picture or an image that you can't see. So it's just audio, and real good quality as far as audio goes. So worth listening to. I definitely like it now that I'm found it, because when I'm doing stuff away from the computer, when I'm just listening, it's ideal. It's literally just a podcast. What if your thumb down at this conclusion? Yeah, you can take it back. You can thumb up, and you can thumb up, take away your thumb up, and then shove it as a thumb down. You didn't know you could re-thumb? You can recycle your thumbs on YouTube. Gun Freedom Radio. Anybody listen to those shows this week?
I haven't listened to Gun Freedom Radio in a while, unfortunately.
Okay. They've only started since the 18th of January, and they do them about once a week or so, maybe a couple of times a week. So they've maybe done like 8 or something this year. Generally, they're great. I like them. They dig out new people. They talk to the people that they already know. And I'm trying to think, actually. Often they're probably a little bit too repetitive. Like they introduce people too much. And I'm just sick of introducing people because I fucking know everybody. So that's just my glitch. But they do a decent job of not just, they don't do the same show over. So if they've got somebody on Gun Freedom Radio for like the 3rd time, they're not going to do a 3rd carbon copy of that interview. It's going to evolve. So it's one of the best things you can get. And I would say it's the best thing, only it's not always that good, and it's recorded, and that stuff is live. So this week, though, there was 2 episodes with just them, which ordinarily I would like a lot. And then there was an episode with some guy. What was he? Sociology and guns. And here's the thing. I'm going to say it. Who's always saying, don't bring other issues? I think Cheryl has even said it. Don't bring other issues to the table. If we're talking about guns, you talk about guns, right? We're here to talk about guns and not other stuff. And usually when they're saying that, they're talking like abortion or immigration or economy or health, right? They don't mean well, sometimes I guess they mean politics in other ways, but what the hell were they even harping on? I guess they were. It wasn't. You know how they are. They're Republicans for sure on the Gun Freedom Radio. They're both Republicans, but they don't like push it on anybody or nothing. They're just not. They're proud of it, and they're not going to like apologize for being Republicans and not just like conservatives. Or they like being Republicans. But it was, maybe it was. I'm just gonna, because I can't remember exactly what it was. But let's just say they kept talking about being a Republican, and I'm like, okay, you can bother people with that just as easily as you can bother people with abortion or any of these other topics. Like, it's not just the specific topic, it's just that when you bring other stuff besides guns in, and maybe it was like living in Detroit, it was just something else, and whatever it wasn't necessarily offensive to me. I was just thinking, I couldn't help think, like, okay, this is like your third. They had a guest on and they talked about a topic, whatever it was, and then they talked about it, and it might have been, damn, I can't think of it because I just was kind of not listening to it as much as I would have been. Let's see if DJ talks about what it was. But anyway, I just got the impression that, like, hey, take some of the advice of not bringing in other stuff and let's just bring it back to guns. Because it was just right adjacent to guns and it wasn't bothering me, but I was like, you know what, I talked to too many people that do get offended by anything that's off topic at all. And this is already like putting up my spidey sense, whatever, my 2A spidey sense that, like, okay, this is offending somebody. Maybe the mildest of offense, but still, like, we're outside the lane. Like, let's get back into the lane. But the thing is, they went like 3 shows into it this week of just talking. They're allowed to, I guess. I guess people are allowed to talk about what they want on their own podcast. But yeah, it would be a bit better if I had other people on, I guess, to listen to it. Let's see, what's DJ saying? People glad hand far too often. Now, if he's talking about on Gun Freedom Radio, they definitely have people on they like or whatever, and they're pleasant and they're like gracious to people, but I don't know if that's glad handing.
I think what he's talking about there is the people will thumb up before streams ever even start. And just because of like who it is, not waiting to see what kind of content they have going that specific video or that specific
we're talking the mechanics of the video as opposed to the Gun Freedom Radio channel. So I don't agree. I mean, I can understand that if your point is to critique or to judge or to offer feedback, but I look at that mechanism, the thumb mechanism, as our interface to the logarithm. So Google is a giant mechanism, and one of the levers, one of the push buttons that we have access to and is actually influential is pushing that. So the more people that push a button on a live thing while it's live influences it at the moment. And since we can edit it, influencing it to get the logarithm to put the video on the front page is better for 2A and better for that person and better for the community, right? And then once you're all done, go back and thumb it down or take your thumb away. But you know what I'm saying? Like, getting the activity at the moment with the fourth element of time involved, I think is more important. And then you can always go back and take it away. And then I've done that with comments. Where I was actually, one of the things this week that I didn't bring up, I was watching it and I was like, I normally do is I'll come in and go third thumb, right? That's my way to say I third thumbed it. So the person who's running the show or the person who's helping run the show or anybody who's interested has that as a gauge, right? Oh, the third thumb came in and the show hasn't started yet. Or the third thumb came in and it's 20 minutes into the show. Or the guy said third thumb and now there's 7. So people were that interested in thumbing, they just never thought of it. So maybe I should say it, right? Or that guy said third thumb a half an hour ago, and there's still only 3 thumbs. So nobody cares about thumbing, right? It gives some feedback to the person who might care about the feedback. And then for the archive and for the future AI, right, it gives a little echo there. But anyway, so I've always put third thumb. I was watching a video this week, And like I say, I don't even put it in my list here because I don't list everything I watch. I just write the stuff that I think is good. I was watching an interview. About halfway through the interview, I started disagreeing. And about 3/4 of the way through, I left. I was like, fuck this interview. And I unthumbed and I deleted all my comments because I didn't want to have any, I didn't want to have anything left on that one. And I left the thing midway through. I did not like the thing. So I hear what you're saying, but I don't think of it as like I only get one vote and that vote has to happen at a certain time or it doesn't influence. I think of it as more like it's a mechanism, and if I want to go in and jam the elevator door open while I'm listening to the music and then I want to pull the elevator door closed again and go on my way, I can always call the elevator back if I need to. That's a shitty analogy. I'm writing it down. But let's see, 2A energy is valuable. Helping others negotiate. I don't know what that means. Helping others negotiate the shaft. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, he's using language. He used some language there, and I'm like, what does that mean?
And plus, I don't know with the lag. I don't know. Is he talking about with what?
I think he's talking about, with just so much content. I mean, earlier he was talking about that on his radar, there's like 100 hours a week of 2A content. And I mean, that's awesome. I mean, there needs to be 1,000, in my opinion, but we take what we can get. But yeah, I mean, I feel bad when, you mention or anybody's like, did you hear this? Did you watch this? And I'm like, oh my God, because we've all got lives and we've all got other things that we do, and it's a lot of times it's hard to watch other people's stuff. And then when you get that downtime and you're able to do it, it's like, okay, do I watch these 3 that are 20 minutes a piece, 15, 20 minutes, or do I go watch this one that's an hour? You know what I mean? And so it's hard to pick and choose. And I'm with DJ that, usually when I pick and choose what that person has put as far as their thumbnail or their title or their, a lot of times will sway which route I go with that.
Well, and whatever you've got going on right now would change if all of a sudden you got the grandkids back, or it would change if you moved and
Sure. Yeah.
You won the lottery, and that's times everybody else that is dealing with YouTube. So yeah, I mean, but no, it's interesting as you said that, and well, I guess there's elements that we can anticipate. There's elements that we have to deal with, right? There's elements that we can influence, and then that's kind of all of them, right? It can have elements of all of that stuff.
Right.
But anyway, so I don't know how we got all up on that one. I guess we were talking about Gun Freedom Radio, and I guess I was saying that this week I haven't been the biggest fan of their topics, but I'm a big fan of Dan and Cheryl for sure. Yeah. Got to hang out with them a little bit at the rally. Nice. They helped create that thing and put it on, and it's interesting. Let's see. So then we had save2a.us. I don't know. Like I said, this is I'm just doing my thing here. So I'm not paid by nobody, and nobody's paying me, and I want everybody to succeed. Well, I'm just saying, as far as like,
that's breaking news, man.
When we're pulling punches here, there is no such thing. Now, Second Amendment Foundation and the save2a.us, and what do they call it? The 2A. What the fuck are we called? The thing where you have to text 474747. We're 2A. It's not 2A activists. They call this like 2A action crew or something. I forget what the fuck they call it. So basically, they came up with this thing where have you seen it, where you text 474747 on your phone?
No, I don't. Yes, I have.
It's one of these. Well, here, I'm just going to play their commercial. It's very JPFO-like. Here's the. I'm not going to show it.
Radical gun legislation that infringes on your Second Amendment rights, and we urgently need you to take action now. House Bill 127 has been introduced and could be voted on in coming weeks. This bill includes Mandatory gun registration, license requirement to possess a firearm and ammunition, invasive psychological government evaluation of you and your family. Mandatory firearm insurance, bans numerous rifles, shotguns, and magazines over 10 rounds. Mandatory minimum prison sentences and fines for any gun owner that does not comply.
All right, I got to go back and do this just because this is Second Amendment Foundation. Now, to their credit, they've changed this, but you can tell she's teacupping a fucking, it's probably a Gen 2 Jennings, right? But it's chromed out with a chromed out slide from probably that one company that's at all the gun shows. So I don't know what's going on here, but it's like she's almost positively wrong eye dominantly teacupping a chromed out Lorson, and that's the picture they choose for their 2021 campaign.
Right.
I can't deal with that.
Mandatory minimum prison sentences.
This guy's on the phone with another person. Oh, this is a guy in prison. I thought these were people down a hallway, and he's saying like, "Please don't call the police" or something. Now I get it.
Fines for any gun owner that does not comply. We must stand up against this attempt to take away your Second Amendment rights. Take action now by going to Save 2A.
Everybody know who this is?
Yeah, I can't think of his name, but yeah.
Mark Robinson.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
.us or text Save 2.
The dude who was like
North Carolina guy.
Yeah, he was he a sheriff or was he just a dude? And then he was like,
average Joe who went into a city council meeting and was talking about, I am the average guy.
Yep,
I'm the average person.
Hey, 247.
And then he became an advocate because basically went viral, let's say, and that just getting up and doing it without intent went viral. And then he's like, well, crap, I can do something.
747, your right to own a gun is on the line. Go to save2a.us.
Ugh. This they can't help. I mean, they picked the picture. Wait. That's the same holster I had for my little BB gun when I was a little kid, though. I guess they're just carrying open holsters, empty holsters.
Or text SAVE2A to 474747 to pledge your support.
Look at that little girl. I don't think little girls should have to be cops that young.
To save your right to keep and bear arms. Join the fight now to protect your Second Amendment rights.
There's nothing I can do about them constantly throwing a flag on the floor and then putting their fucking guns on them. Like, they're just going to keep doing that, and I can't do nothing about it, I guess. But this one was actually calmed down quite a bit. I don't know if they're taking my rantings. You guys have not seen these videos / commercials. This is the first one.
Your Second Amendment rights are under attack like no other time in history, and the Second Amendment Foundation needs you to take action now. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have pledged to make taking away your Second Amendment rights a top priority through gun bans, gun confiscation, government regulations, and even a gun tax. They have aligned themselves with anti-gun activists like billionaire Michael Bloomberg and appoint radicals like Beto O'Rourke as the anti-gun czar. The fight begins now with your text of Protect 2A to 474747. Text Protect 2A to 474747 to pledge your support and become a Second Amendment.
Look at that. Oh, it is. No, it's a raven. It's a raven, and they've photoshopped out the markings on it. So it's a 25. She's teacupping it, though.
Amendment first responder. Your right to own a gun and protect your family are on the line. Text Protect 2A to 474747 and join the fight to protect your Second Amendment rights. Text Protect 2A to 474747 to pledge your support and become a Second Amendment first responder.
All right, so I'll quit bitching about it, but that's the
Step 1, feel the stress.
I thought somebody left, but that was me just turning off the screen share. That's their new campaign for Second Amendment first responder. Is that what they're calling it? So, yeah, it's like, who are they? I mean, it's like, are they emulating old NRA crap, or are they emulating JPFO? It's kind of JPFO-ish, but JPFO would be like in your face. This wasn't like in your face. This was just like, oh, I don't like it. Yeah. So when you text 474747, it sends you back a thing that says, go to secondamendmentfoundation.com/first responder or something. So you go there. Well, let's go there. And you go there. I don't want to go there because I don't want to make it seem like I'm ragging on them. I'm just ragging on them. Right. You go there and it's like, okay, give us all your personal information. I think I made a video about this, or I posted on Patreon. I don't know if I think I might have just posted on Patreon. I videotaped like the process of screen shared. What do they call it? I screen captured the process of going through it, and then never went and edited it because I would have to edit out all my personal information. And the result was you fill out a form with all your info, and then at the bottom of the form it's like, do you want to go rally? Do you want to write letters? Do you want to go see your congressperson? Like, list of things. Do you want to join the newsletter? And then you pick the things out of that list that you want, and you click submit. And now I get an email once in a while from Alan that says stuff like, basically, whatever you'd get from every one of them. But it's not like, oh, wasn't it? Why can't I think of his name? The guy you and Ghost knew, who was an NRA guy at one time, and then he was like on his own.
Yeah, Tim Knight.
Tim Knight. He had alluded to having like the grassroots activist prep kit, or like supply list, or like how to be a DIY activist kind of kit, or list. So that's what I was hoping to save the U.S. or the First Amendment. Second Amendment first responder thing was. Right. Anyway, so there's that, and it's been going a couple of months, at least since Paul has been a paid employee of Second Amendment Foundation. They've been doing the Second Amendment first responders, and now, like I say, Gun Owners of America comes up with.
Hi, I'm Phil Ramoli, host of the Minuteman Moment.
Brought to you by GOA.
Members are ready to answer the call to defeat gun control at a moment's notice, and I need you to take action right now.
So they're calling it the Minuteman Minute. Is that what he just called it? The Minuteman Moment.
Yeah.
Minuteman Moment. Oh, I guess if it was Minuteman Minute, it would sound repetitive, huh? Redundant. So the Minuteman Moment is like call to action. And you didn't watch this one? It's a 4-minute video. The call to action is both of Biden's picks for Attorney General and Homeland Secretary hate your gun rights. Urge senators to vote no. So call your senators, I guess, and tell them that you don't like Biden's pick for these two positions, which I guess is better than not having an organized thing. I don't know. Does FPC have some sort of be on a list and be activated type of call to action type of list to be on?
I don't know.
I don't know. So that's something I'm going to try to look into, because I think that's something that I've wanted to see from the national levels, because that's something that they're going to have from a national level scope, right? Like the New Jersey such and such, or the Pennsylvania so whatever, or the Nebraska version of this. We don't expect them to know what's going on in Florida unless they just happen to know what's going on in Florida. So, but on the other hand, I would really like to see something that isn't like, hey, you want to be a 2A activist? Well, go fuck yourself. And second off, go figure it out for your fucking self. And then third, we depend on you. Like, what the fuck? Like, make it fucking easy for people. I don't even know how to be a fucking grassroots activist, and I'm trying fucking hard for the last however many years, right?
Right.
So, I'd like to see the Nationals potentially at least throw in I mean, there's clever ass people. What's his face doing the kids safe?
Right.
That guy's clever. He's just out there treading water. He's not treading water. I think he's making headway, but he's doing it himself.
Right.
And I don't know if then Tony, he's. I don't know. Do you know Tony's going to Nebraska? Tony Simon is going to Nebraska.
Wow.
Yeah. So, or no, wait, South Dakota, wherever Paul lives. Paul doesn't live in Nebraska. I've got DJ out there, Nebraska, and me up. Where the hell does Paul live? South Dakota. I think that's where he's going. Or is he going to Nebraska? No, he might be going to Nebraska. I might be actually right and was only wrong thinking I was wrong. Anyway, Tony's going somewhere besides Pennsylvania finally. But yeah, a lot of people are working on their own, doing good stuff. But if it's doing it on their own because they want to, well, then that's their fault. But if they're doing it on their own because they don't got support, well, then that's everybody's fault, really. I think that I'm going to start agreeing with the left and blaming everybody for everything except for whoever's might actually be responsible.
Right.
Anyway, so what else we got? We got a bunch of stuff on my list, but then I wanted to find out from you. You posted some kind of a map one time where you were going to somewhere east. Was that the thing for?
No.
No,
that was a road trip that we kind of took for my wife's birthday.
Oh, so you already did do that, and that's where you got the Cabela stuff from?
Yeah.
Oh, so that had nothing to do with the Poma thing?
No, that is March the 8th.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was like, I didn't think anything was happening this soon. So that was just totally unrelated. You actually decided to do something on your own for your own reasons.
Yeah, right.
Huh. Right. So at least that caught me up now. So then that was the third question, is the Poma thing you said is in March?
Yes, March the 8th. Right.
And I don't think I have it on my calendar. So
it's the first. That's the first year of it too, by the way.
Well, that's the thing. There's going to be a lot of that. There's that one. There's the thing in Florida that
fire
one. There's
PSAs.
Is that the one I was going to say? There was another one that you guys were saying that there's making you pay to go there.
Yeah, that's the PSA. Yeah, it's late April, maybe. I don't remember. Something like that.
I don't really want to do too much right now because it's the middle of the night and I don't have it open and I've got something else I did before you open, but I'll probably get you or somebody, maybe you and somebody else on to try to update the calendar. Because like I said, because of SHOT Show voiding,
right?
SHOT Show deciding not to try anything alternatively, just to take a knee,
right?
That's giving everybody else the opportunity to jump in.
And they've moved NRA and USCCA to later in the year. Actually, they moved USCCA. So USCCA was supposed to be like mid-April in Nashville. They've actually moved it, I think, to October here in Texas.
Yeah, and didn't they do that last year too? So I'm waiting on that. I mean, you're trying to go to both, so it's different for you. I don't care about going to either of them, so I'm just looking at that more as like, are they going to bounce it again? Or, you know what I'm saying? Like, they don't know.
Right.
Nobody knows. The world's going to go nuts. So I know we're all talking tentatively or whatever.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, Texas, Houston, though, right?
Houston is NRA. USCCA, I believe, is in Fort Worth.
Oh, maybe somebody said that. In which that's basically Dallas, right? They just act like it's two different towns.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Let's see. DJ's trying to go to all kinds of places.
So, did you guys watch the USCCA video to President Biden?
Oh, I don't like USCCA, so unless like Beth does something, I'll watch something that Beth, or I don't think I watch Beth do anything, but if Beth is on Tony's show, I'll listen to her, but I don't like subscribe to USCCA or pay attention to Tim at all. What did they do?
They did a video where he read the letter that he wrote to Biden about.
You're talking Tim, the guy that runs USCCA?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he was saying that they should actually do national reciprocity and get that going, because all the other crap that they're doing is just hurting law-abiding people.
Well, like I just said, I'm not a big fan of USCCA, but that's just because I'm super poor and I'm petty, and that guy screwed me out of like $500. So in like what 2007 or something, and I hold a grudge that long. But I'm willing to not, because I have I'm just me, right? So if I know that Beth is good, and she's probably not hanging around with dickheads, so if that guy is worth the crap, and they just have all these new gun owners that everybody acts like we just got, do you think those new gun owners join the NRA, especially if they were like antis and then became gun owners because they're scared? Or would they join something like USCCA with something like Beth Alcazar hanging out, being cool as like a representative for it? And they get insurance for joining it. Like if USCCA is like the new ambassador to new gun owners, and they take that kind of power and influence to get reciprocity, then I'll shut up about that $500 and I'll deal with it.
All right.
I mean, I lost way more than $500 on my fucking cars here in the last couple of days, so I can handle losing that $500 years ago.
All right.
But I don't know. I think that's the thing. I mean, it is. I don't. Are you guys members of USCCA?
I am not.
I think it used to just be a membership thing. So like you used to join and then see his holster reviews. All the stuff that was on YouTube today cost a lot of money to put on the internet. So Tim made a membership site, and you had to pay, some nominal fee, $6 a month or something, to get into the website, and then there was videos hosted there, and you could order DVDs cheap, or they would give them to you. I don't know. Nobody was complaining. A couple of people complained, but most people were satisfied. Always was USCCA, but its format was always just be a paywall with content behind it. Then YouTube, well, lots of things happened, but YouTube happened, and that format wouldn't work because everybody was just putting everything free on YouTube, and nobody was going to pay to see stuff. Membership systems weren't a big thing. Nobody liked them. So he had a magazine and went to that for a while. Anyway, so it's evolved. And like I say, he just happened. I don't like the guy, but plenty of people dig it. He has that show, right? It's basically like a mini NRA, or I don't know, it's close to being as big as NRA. I've never been to it. But definitely evolving. So like I say, if they can be the kind of representative organization that appeals and caters and adapts to the new gun owner, what the fuck, I'm down. I'll shut the fuck up about my $500, and like I say, gladly watch them ambassador the shit out of new gun owners to bring constitutional carry everywhere and get rid of the NFA, hopefully.
Right.
Heck, I'll join the SCCA if they get rid of NFA. I'll go that far. And that guy owes me $500.
Well, it looks like we were invaded by Guns and Barbecue.
Good evening. Did Gizzard's over? And his ghost corking is over? His shadow corking? Sorry, shadow corking is over?
I think the shadow corking's still going on. I had some stuff going on outside that I had to pay attention to, so I just jumped out of it. And then after I confirmed that it was non-threats, I come over here.
Right on. Let's see. So we were kind of chatting about the different stuff that was happening, I guess, this year. Is that where we were at with USCCA moving? Or was something else got me ranting about USCCA?
Oh, that was me talking about the video that they just did the other day.
Oh, yeah.
That got you ranted.
I've never seen Tim do anything super pro 2A or nothing, but I don't know. If anything, he's a little awkward. He's not ever been anti that I'm aware of. I don't think, except for screwing me out of $500 when I really needed it. He ever did anything to hinder anybody. He just was weird. Yeah. And then when he came up with the insurance, I guess some people, I think it's more like people don't understand the insurance or expect something different out of the insurance and then sign up and aren't satisfied because it's not what they expected or not what they were looking for.
Well, the insurance side of it, which I do agree with, it's just like having insurance on your car. You never want to use it, but it's there in case you have to use it.
Well, I'm thinking the insurances aren't all the same. Some of them like reimburse you after the effect. Some of them like they just are all different procedures, and they all have different like coverages, I guess. And that's where some people are like, oh dang, like I didn't realize I had to find my lawyer and then pay for my lawyer and then you reimburse me. I thought that I just call you and you take care of it all, because they either misunderstood or because some other insurance is that way. And they were like, oh, that insurance is that way and it's $65, but your insurance is $35 and it's both gun insurance. Well, I'm buying the cheaper one. Oh wait, the cheaper one, I have to go find my own attorney. Like, and I don't know the details, but there's stuff like that people that don't will get a bad rap.
I don't know, because like USCCA, depending on which level you pick, and I think it's every level, if you have to use your firearm in a self-defense situation, you call them and they'll send an attorney to you, and if you get arrested, they'll post your bail, and they'll also be there to help pay for your attorney in civil suit also.
I was just going to say, I'm fixing to jump. It's bedtime for me, but appreciate the conversation. Continue, gentlemen.
Yeah, thanks for jumping in.
See you, Clover.
All right, well, so we've been going for like an hour. We ran Clover out of 2A. He only has so much 2A to use in a week. So I think I'll tag teaming in, or we running out of topics, or let's see. Nobody's really saying nothing out there. DJ's saying stuff, but he ain't jumping in. He's probably going to work or something. Really, it's just been DJ. Kojo said something like 19 minutes ago. So, like I say, we ain't trying to prove nothing here. We just want to go online once a week to sum up whatever happened during the week. Somebody was saying something about not having time to watch everything, so hopefully a show like this can give you the opportunity to hear about some of it, or just go to the description and have links to it. I usually wait till Friday to post it, so you'll get them all on each Friday. Give us some feedback, and if that's something that's worthwhile, worth putting effort into. But if nobody's going to give me any feedback right now, and nobody's saying nothing out there,
I like the wrap up, because you can find new stuff. That hey, maybe I'm that's how I found out about the 2A cops, was because of one of your wrap ups on a Friday, and so I've been watching their stuff. And like you say, they have great conversations and really good content.
So how many of them have you watched yet? They don't have that many.
I think 4 or 5 videos I've watched of theirs.
You got a favorite yet?
I don't. There's a few of them that it's like, hey, I really like this one, but then you go and you watch something else and you're like, maybe I like this one better. I can't seem to like really narrow down which one of the like 4 videos that I've watched as this is the best one I've seen so far.
Yeah, I would have been surprised if he actually had a favorite, because I'm the same way. Like, they're basically just kind of hitting the issues, and I don't know. I think maybe one of them I was like, maybe the first one I listened to, which might have been one of the first ones, was like one thing that they said, I was kind of like, but maybe. And then every other thing they said, I was like, yeah, right on, right on, right on. And then every other video has been like right on. So I might even be remembering that wrong. Maybe I just thought it was going to be that good, or maybe I thought it was going to be bad.
The one thing I know, Patriot in the Dark, he's been doing his series on like the Constitution. It's the presidential. I forget exactly what it's called, but it's been an ongoing series.
The 1776 something.
Well, it's the presidential final report or something like that. It's the series that's been going on, where it's talked all about the crap. Now I'm drawing blanks. It's broke down the Constitution. It's broke down, I think, like the Bill of Rights and stuff like that, and talking all about. And it's been a really, really good series. And I can't pick which one of those is my favorite either, because every single one, like you watch the very first video, you're like, hey, this is a good one. And then you watch the next one and you're like, well, this one's a little better. But each one, is like, yeah, and some of them you're going, this is what's happening right now and is really relevant of what's going on in our society right now. But you're talking about this is stuff that was, years and years and years ago.
I'm looking for my calendar here. Makojo is asking for the thing in Florida. I don't know what the hell is in June, but the where it is, there it is. When is the event in Florida? You're talking about the Florida Carry 4th annual guest speaker event. That will be March 20th. So 3/20/21. DJ's talking about something in June. I don't know when that in June in Florida. I think that would not be an outdoor event, right? That would be hot, horrible. So let's see. Artac, yeah, I don't know if he realizes, he was saying something about the ammo earlier, but yeah, that was a giveaway we did that week. And I guess because of the cold weather or whatever, you just barely got that. He was saying earlier that he works at night, so he just he works nights, so he just sits and watch. Oh, I thought you were saying earlier that you sit and watch during the day. Oh, the Makers match. Oh, is that when that is? It's in June? Ugh. And I thought it was in Colorado. So I got to put that in here. So June 19th in St. Augustine is... It seems like you would do stuff in August if you're going to be in St. Augustine. But anyway, that is going to be where they 3D print something or some kind of 3D print awards or something. I bet you $500 that the trophy is going to be 3D printed. I think it would be more ironic if they whittled it or something so that it was the opposite of 3D printing, but they're probably going to go with the 3D printed trophy. Anyway, or maybe the trophy is just a file and then you have to 3D print your own trophy. But whatever. I won't mansplain to them how to do their 3D printing event. And I don't know if it's just, I think it's 3D guns. So it just has to be 3D printed guns or something. But I assume since it was Edgar that it was in Colorado.
They have what's it? I think it's two different series. They've got the 3D side of it and the 80% builder side of it. So it's going to be.
I haven't paid attention at all. I'll have to have somebody on and have an interview with them or something.
Yeah, that's what they were.
Is it both at the same time, or is it two different like events?
Yeah, it's well. So you're gonna have your 3D printers against your 3D printers, and your 80% builders against your 80% builders.
But I mean, at the same day, at the same location. It's not like
yeah.
Oh yeah, damn. Yeah, I picked the wrong time to get out a Second Amendment because that sounds pretty interesting. Although it's probably going to be a bunch of weird lumberjack looking, like a bunch of people that look like lumberjacks but like comb their hair too much.
There might be some man buns.
Huh?
There might be some man buns. You know, those CZ wannabes.
Oh hell yeah! You know there's going to be man buns. They can 3D print the little barrettes that they use to put them things up. All right, well, so right on. So we learned about a new thing that I'm going to have to remember to put into the calendar. I'm working on something else, so I'll probably forget, but it looks like I got more than a month to worry about it. I imagine they'll probably stream it, though.
Maybe. I don't know what they're going to completely do. I was watching I don't remember whose live stream it was or whatever, but they were talking about it. I think it was one of the guys from like GOA, I want to say. He's also a part of that situation, that group.
Are you saying GOA is going to be involved in the Makers match thing?
I don't know if GOA will be a part of it, but I think one of the guys that like works for GOA or is high up in GOA is also part of the like.
Are you talking about that Fudbuster guy?
I don't remember what his name is.
I think he's in Florida. DJ's saying that Pincus has been all over. I don't listen to Pincus that much though, unless he's like on Instagram. I see something. I don't like watch his videos or nothing.
Yeah, it was Rob Pincus that I was thinking about.
Oh, okay. He's half the time in Florida and half the time in Colorado. So that's another reason why because he was talking about 3D printing and being involved in that thing. So that's why I figured, he doesn't. Well, it makes sense though. He's in Florida and Colorado. All right. Well, so then. I was going to ask Barbecue. Since he came in late, he didn't see all the stuff in the description of the video necessarily. But you know that guy Walt from California, the youngin'?
Yep.
He does these videos now where I think you've been in a couple of them, or at least one of them maybe. Or I'm sure you've seen them at least after, where he does like, let's say somebody does like a 16-minute video that he doesn't like. So then Walt will go live and do like a 3-hour video, just ripping that video to shreds, just taking that guy apart or that girl, and then just taking every argument and taking it down all kinds of different paths. And then like you got like a 3-hour video off of whatever the original source video was. So did you watch the ones this week about that?
I was able to catch one of them. I should probably hand in my 2A card because I have not been 2A for like the last 2 weeks. I've been really lacking, but I did catch one of them. I really wish I could remember which one it was. I want to say it was on Wednesday that I caught it. But really enjoyed it.
Here's the thing. if he's going to insist on making a 3-hour video, is that your fault or is that his fault?
Oh, no, I'm talking about in general. I have been out of the loop like the last 2 weeks with everything.
Yeah, right. But you could say that. Or you could say that Walt making 3-hour videos, it's impossible for you to even be 2A. He's basically removing your ability to be 2A by making 3-hour videos. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, he's got to limit them to 2 hours for 2A. We should let him know that.
So anyway, I'm just looking for somebody who sat around and watched one of these things because, I don't know. I mean, it could be effective, I guess. I don't know how the youths are paying attention. It seems to me like 3 hours is too long, but maybe he's got some kind of justification for it.
Yeah, the one I saw, I don't think was 3 hours. It might have been about an hour, but I don't think it had gone too terribly long.
He also does some sort of interaction with the Discord, which is interesting, and could be interesting to have a conversation about the long-term repercussions of that. Let's see. Otherwise, I thought there was something else I was going to ask Barbecue about. I guess I can't think of it. Has anybody else got anything else?
I'm just waiting for Guns and Barbecue to start doing his live streams so I can retire.
Oh, no, you're not retiring. Let's say I am just going to half-ass it like I do everything else. So you're 100% going to have to keep doing yours. Keep dreaming. But did get an update on that. Got an email from Computers for the Blind, I believe it was yesterday, saying that they finally shipped out my computers. So I'm hoping sometime in the coming week I should be getting that. So once I get that, I'll start messing around with it, learning all the software that they include to help me use it, and then start trying to get something going in the weeks after. So I was hoping for mid-February when I originally made the purchase of the computer. Obviously, that didn't happen because they didn't ship it out until Thursday. So I'm hoping maybe mid-March get something going.
So you're looking more like mid-June before you're going to be doing something?
Maybe. We'll see how long it takes them to get this shipped here. But it's supposed to be in the mail, so.
Is there still cold back east, or is that over?
It's actually in a bit of a heat wave right now. This last week's been high 30s, low 40s, which has been really nice.
So it's not like shipping is still disrupted and slower or whatever it was for a while.
No. Let's say I think the only place that, well, I don't know. I didn't notice any issues, but like I know I heard stuff coming out of like Texas and whatnot was having a lot of issues. Which doesn't help the whole computer thing because the computer was coming out of Texas.
Makojo is saying, tried to watch some of the Liberal Gun Club YouTube videos. Couldn't get into some of their talks, but their bench doctor stuff looks interesting. I don't know what that is. Yeah, I've lost a little interest in the Liberal Gun Club after Clover's interview with Laura, because it sounds like their 3 goals are to what the hell? One of them was make a place for liberal gun owners to have a gun club, and then it was Shit, what was their goals? Oh, one of their goals was to explain the gun laws to the liberal politicians in a way that makes them not want to follow through, I guess, like challenge where the money's coming from, for example. I think I understood, if I understood it correctly. Anyway, the one that they didn't have as a focus was like working with or dealing with the rest of the gun community. In other words, they're there for the liberal gun owner to create a place and then to do some effort towards resistance to gun infringements. But I think there's an opportunity there for liberal gun owners, not the organization, but people who consider themselves liberal or are able to talk to liberals and who are gun owners are able to deal with gun ownership, have those people become some kind of translator or interpreter for regular people who ain't liberal and don't run around being happy about being liberal, because the people that I've dealt with who are real fond of calling themselves liberal don't realize how offensive and weird that sounds to people who don't like liberal people. And if they have no interest in dealing with that divide or rift, then that's an unnecessary complication and unnecessary rift, divide that doesn't need to be there. And all we need is a couple of people from both sides to address it, and then it doesn't exist anymore, because it's just a matter of awareness and education. Nobody has to change anybody's minds. They just have to realize everybody needs to shut the fuck up and cool each other's opinions of each other, and we're back on track. Nobody hates each other, but the way that they are running their business, they're setting themselves up to be misunderstood. I don't know if I'm saying that right, or maybe I'm crazy, but am I wrong? Like, every old person I know wouldn't be caught dead talking to a liberal, period. And these guys are running around saying, hey, we're liberals and we think it's great. Like, that just doesn't work.
I know when she was on Clover live stream, and I asked, who their representative was in Oregon, like, she answered my question about knowing what the Senate bill was, but like just glossed over who's the representative, like who's the contact in the state to be able to, discuss what they're doing to help thwart Senate Bill 554, and were they going to, support the conservatives or Republicans or whatever you want to call it, walking out.
Are you talking about the club, or are you talking about whether they were going to challenge the representatives' position?
Well, so I asked her who their club's contact was, and if they were working with OFF to try to get Senate Bill 554 stopped, because Senate Bill 554 in Oregon is a super horrible gun bill that they're going after. So they've changed a little bit of the wording now, because they said that a lot of people on the internet were misrepresenting what it said, and none of us were, because I know I talked about it quite a bit. They were saying that we were misrepresenting it by saying if you just drove your vehicle onto airport property or even close to airport property, that you would then become a felon if you had a firearm on you. And that's exactly what it was written in the bill. You didn't have to go inside the airport carrying a firearm or go into a terminal carrying a firearm. All you had to do was be on the property, and they could have charged you with a felony. And so they've changed the wording now. Oh, excuse me. They've changed the bill now so that you have to go actually inside the airport carrying a firearm before you'll become a felon. But yeah, there's now.
Well, you've been describing the bill, but what was so when you asked Liberal Gun Club Laura if what like you didn't like her answer or you didn't like what they're doing in response?
Like, she didn't really even answer my question. She kind of gave an answer.
Okay.
But she just glossed over a bunch of it.
Well, I get that. But did she wasn't like, I didn't see the whole art thing, and I don't remember that piece of it if I did see it. So it wasn't like she was like, she brought up the subject and she was like, for example, this thing in Oregon, and we're a big deal, and this is our main focus. And then when you asked a specific question, she blew you off. Or was she talking about turkey sandwiches, and then you said, hey, what about this thing in Oregon? And then she went on talking about turkey sandwiches.
So she was talking, it was in the part where she was talking about working with states on anti-2A bill. And I said, well, so I asked the question, well, are you aware of this bill that's going on in Oregon and what are you doing about it? And so she kind of just half-ass answered it, but glossed over a lot of it.
Okay. Well, I'm just gonna play devil's advocate and go. I mean, I don't know how big that organization is, but I don't think anybody gets paid, and I don't think it's like more than 4 people or something. So I'm just thinking, that they might not know, or maybe they might not have that specific one at the top, like off the top of her head, is what I'm thinking. And it's not like I don't, you know what I mean? It's like I don't.
Yeah.
I'm guessing she probably wasn't like totally aware and has some like bullshit motive and just doesn't want to tell you, right? She probably just doesn't know. I'm guessing.
Well, she knew what the bill was, and she said that they were working on it, but she wouldn't say who the contact was in the state or anything, because she said, yeah, we have contacts there in the state working on it, but she she glossed over who they were.
Well, I don't know then. Like I say, then maybe she just doesn't want to. Maybe there's some strategy there. Like it's not a good idea to say it out loud or something. I don't know though. I mean, I'm not trying to scorn her or nothing. I'm just, and they're allowed to have the scope they've got. I guess what I was trying to do is play devil's advocate. Maybe they just don't know about that particular bill in that particular state right now. But if they do know about it and you're not satisfied with their answer, I'm not trying to justify their answer because, I'm not for them or against them. I'm just not aware of what you guys are actually, the specifics or whatever. But anyway, the thing is, there are just one organization, and they already said their goals are 3 things. And one of them was to have a club for liberal gun owners. So basically a place for them to hang out and chat with each other. So that's fine. That's valid. They're allowed to have that goal. One of them was to challenge the gun laws. But the thing is, at their, she didn't say it, but it was implied, at their discretion and when they feel like it, right? So, yeah, they're going to fight. Oh, and then in the manner they choose when they feel like it. So they're not under anybody's control, and they're not necessarily they're an ally, I guess. But when somebody's like, oh, I'm going to fight mostly on your side when I feel like it, when I'm good and ready. Like when I got time or when I feel, what the fuck? Then I guess you're an ally, but you can't be depended on, and you're not going to fight no matter what, and you're not resolute, and you're wishy-washy, and what the fuck? So I'm not trying to say they're good or bad or nothing, but they've also stated their principles or their position is 3 things, and it ain't working with us, and it ain't working on everything always, which is fine. They don't have to, but whatever. So I think that's all I'm saying is that they're finite. They only have so much they can deal with. Maybe they don't know or whatever, like I said. But with all that said, I think there's room for more liberal gun owners, right? Like there needs to be somebody like Walt or somebody needs to start a group maybe. that isn't on Discord, because it's useless being on Discord.
So, G, I've got a question for you.
What's more? Were you going to ask what's more useless, being on Discord or having your entire organization based in Facebook groups? Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine. I was actually thinking about that. I was like, I don't know. But no, before G23 got going on that bill, you had mentioned that something about them calling themselves liberals, and how there's firearms owners that that they wouldn't bother speaking to somebody that calls themselves a liberal.
Right.
Do you think that that's necessarily fault on their part for calling themselves liberals? If that's how they identify, and it can be assets, where they can perhaps get access to politicians that wouldn't, normally hear anything from the traditional gun owner. Is it a fault of the traditional gun owner that's saying, oh, they're a liberal, I'm not going to speak to them, I want nothing to do with them? Is it possible that we need to change that perception and have firearms owners be more open-minded, not just hear that word and shut somebody off?
I don't know. I mean, I guess you ask different people, they're going to give you different answers, but I'm going to go to the music group called the Sex Pistols. I don't know if you ever heard of them. Back in the olden days, they put like safety pins in their clothes and like ripped their shirts and stuff and ran around with spray painted things and then stuck their hair funny and then called themselves punk rock, right? So when you call yourself the Sex Pistols, you're not looking for like Margaret Thatcher to discover you in the record store and go, what's this all about? Oh, I didn't expect a song to say fuck me or whatever, right? Like no, I don't think you need to change old people, because it's mostly old people. I don't think you need to change old people, and I don't think you need to change the young people. Once you tell the young people, hey, you're like literally pissing off the old people and you are doing it inadvertently, and they say, fuck you, I don't even give a shit. Then you go, oh, okay, you named your group the Sex Pistols intentionally, and you're not just poor, like my shirt's all ripped and everything I have is all tattered because I'm poor, not because I'm trying to prove a point or whatever. So if you go, hey, your shirt's ripped, would you like a new shirt? And they're like, fuck you, old man. You're like, oh, okay, you want your shirt ripped. Like, so if somebody's like, I want to be called liberal because I take pride in my liberalness, and part of that pride is the awkward, like, creation of miscommunication with a whole group of people who have a different connotation of the word I'm using as a flag, then right on, man. They picked that and they did it intentionally, and that's why they called themselves liberal. In other words, like to thumb their nose to all the people. So that's something they intended. And then I guess it's possible for like Walt to be like just born after all this, like, oh, I didn't realize that some people hate like this concept. And it ain't his fault, and it ain't and then if you get to the old people, like, they don't need to change nothing. And I don't want to try to tell some old people who like did unspeakable, fathomable things to like keep us from being communists or whatever. Like, no, they get to have whatever opinions they want of whatever they want to think of as a liberal. So we just all have to figure out how to make it happen anyway, right? I think that's a big answer. They're not, if somebody comes up with like, we're the, I don't want to use too weird of a name, but like, the communist gun owners, but really they're left-handed, but they think it's funny or it's cool to call themselves communists because they're left-handed, or it's like in some video game, I don't know, or some song, made it popular, or some cartoon. Like, there's a whole level of shit that happened in cartoons that I don't care about and don't know about because I've never seen any of the series of cartoons. Like that Pickle cartoon, I don't know anything that happened in that cartoon. It's like The Simpsons. It's probably the same way. I laugh at stuff that happened in The Simpsons that the young kids probably never seen an episode of The Simpsons, right? So there's going to be some missed stuff here that we're just going to have to learn how to deal with that. But anyway, I don't think it's, maybe I'm just getting too old, or I'm just sick of wasting time on stuff that, or it's just we have too few resources. That if it was perfect times and there was like pro-gun president and we were talking about getting rid of the NFA, then yeah, let's get the old people and the young people to figure out a word that isn't the word that both pisses off the old people and makes the young people squirt with glee. Like, let's use some other word to describe everybody that gets the point across and everybody can buy belt-fed things cheaply with plastic projectiles.
My other question is, does anybody know when they're using the word liberal, are they referring to classic liberalism, or are they referring to this new idea of what liberal has become in modern day?
I have to assume the second, but I don't think they care. And sometimes when I've mentioned it, the way they respond is like if somebody would have come up and told me about wearing my hat the other way, because back in my day, you'd wear your hat backwards because that was cool. And I would take my hat off if I had to wear it the other way. I wasn't going to wear a baseball hat with the brim in front, period. Like, it wasn't going to happen. So somebody came up to me and told me about all the real good reasons to wear a baseball hat the other way, how it was invented for that way. And you can read what it says on it that way. And, it doesn't, all the other things that it's good for, I guess. I'd have been like, whatever. And then I would have walked away with my hat the wrong way. I think it's one of them kind of situations. But maybe I'm wrong. And here's the thing. I don't know. I can't see. My problem is I don't understand why somebody would champion themselves on a word that is divisive, right? Like, the only other, I put that word with like the negative words that I don't even want to say on air, because I don't want to associate them with each other, because I definitely don't want to associate any people or nothing. But it's like it's up there with like the words that have become verboten to even say. Like, there was a long time when you would not want to call yourself a liberal if you were liberal in the whatever the technical terms are, because in society it had such a connotation, right? Like, you're aligning yourselves with communists and just dumbass, stupid shit for the sake of being anti-establishment, basically. And it was like, I don't care what, as long as it isn't Nixon, or I don't care what, as long as it isn't Reagan. I don't care what, as long as it isn't Bush, right? Like, what the hell? Like, I guess if you never lived through anything but Nixon, anything but Reagan, anything but Bush, and you think that the first thing to come along is anything but Trump, then you're like, what are you so upset about? I'm just using a word. Like, it hasn't been, nobody in the movies I've watched has been upset by this word, so why would you be upset by this word? There's no video games that get upset by this word, so why would you be upset by this word? If somebody's upset by a word and I don't understand it, it's those people have got problems, and it's those people's issue, and there's ignorant issues. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, okay. Like, 70 years from now, and you've lived through anything but Bush, anything but Nixon, anything but Reagan, anything from wherever the fuck was before that, right? Like, then you tell me about how the world all comes around, and you're basically, it's the same as like the Chick Caveira shirts. Who's that one? Socialist or some guy that everybody wears his shirt around, his face on his shirt, and they don't know who the hell's face they're wearing. Dumbasses, like, just a horrible, like, stuff that it signifies. They don't know. They just know that it pisses off their grandpa or their grandma or their mom or their dad or whoever they're trying to piss off. Or the guy at work, right? The old guy at work that has some authority that they don't like. Or just some old guy at work that can't do nothing about it and he gets mad. Like, he doesn't even have any authority. They got the authority, but, they can wear this shirt and it just irks him and he can't do nothing because he has to go to work to pay to keep his kids fed. But if they wear that shirt, it makes them miserable and they get off on it, Like, that's the kind of shit we're talking about. So anyway, I don't think the people in the liberal gun club or anything like that, but is that a way to describe to them like how annoying it is to people who, maybe lost a lot defending or changing or challenging a perception of that, taken over in other parts of the world like it has in parts of the world? Like I say, I don't think it matters, because what the fuck, it's a different world than it was back then anyway, and the people that are offended are fewer and fewer, and the people that don't care are more and more, are going to, are growing. So it's a new world. Yep. And they're going to call liberal, and everybody's going to be cool with it, and the people that used to hate the word are dead and dying. So who cares what people think about, what the word used to mean? What is DJ even talking about? He's DJing us in the text. So we're almost 2 hours in, and now I almost feel like I'm rambling. Let's see.
I didn't know what he was talking about either, so I was kind of like, ooh.
Ernst Wallace saying, I really don't think most people have a problem with the word liberal. It's the word socialist and communist, I think, are the issue. I guess it just depends on how old and whatever. And it's not so much the problem with the word. It's just that when you're going to throw that up as like, hey, here's the badge I'm going to stand behind, or the banner I'm going to stand behind, then people are like, oh, I'll just go to the next door. Like, I don't need to watch this video. Like, not interested in what you got to say, guy. And that's just,
it might not be the word like liberal. It's everything else that's associated with the word.
And every other person through their entire life who said, I'm a liberal, and then it turns out they're that type of person, not the same type of person as the person who's today calling themselves liberal, but the type of person in the past who'd call themselves a liberal all tended to be very unscrupulous types who use that as a shield. It's like, oh no, I'm open-minded. Like, here's some children at college who are open-minded and haven't, had to deal with the world. So I'm just like them. I'm a liberal-minded, open-minded person. And, I just want to take apart this or that. And again, this isn't the first time we've dealt with this, just the first time it's happened with social media. And remember, social media is happening without your grandparents. If your grandparents were around to keep track of all the bullshit memes and stuff, they'd be like, what are you talking about, Sonny? This is like the 6th generation, or the 14th iteration of that. Like, this ain't new. So that's, we're just experiencing stuff with, really, the youngins are experiencing this stuff, and we're all watching them experiencing it without the old folks. It's not like everybody's going home and saying, hey, Grandma, look at the memes I saw today. And Grandma's able to say, the hell are they making fun of that? Like, that same situation has happened at least 14 times in my lifetime. Like the water bucket challenge. You ever heard of like sitting on a telephone pole or whatever it was, sitting on a flagpole? People have done stupid stunts and shit, gone around viral before there was platforms for stuff to go viral on. Stuff just happens. Like, there was songs that would be sung, like old time traditional songs are just viral, songs that got sung back in the day. It was impossible trying to read the comments with the lag and everything.
That's what's going on with my eyes. They're just lagging. I'm not blind. I'm just got lagging eyes.
I had a thing happen the other day. I went outside in the morning, and it was so bright that, like, I couldn't focus on nothing. Like, it took, remember it takes your eyes a while to, I don't know what happens. Your eyes either get bigger or smaller, something happens, and you can, it takes a minute for your eyes to react to the bright light, and it just wouldn't happen. So I don't know if there's like a delayed reaction or what that was, but like, I had to basically close my eyes for like a long time. I just had to come inside. Like, I couldn't, as soon as I came inside, they were okay again, but I couldn't even was like they were, I don't know, like having a camera on the ISO all washed out. Do a better job with the social media. Or wait, what does he say? With the, he goes, yeah, with the social media. We got Makojo on the social media saying, I do a better job in the comments than Paul. Well,
yeah,
I can't even imagine. Like, Paul would be like a kindergartner. And like, if you counted live streaming, Paul's like, I'll give him third grade. Like, he knows how to spell and stuff, but he hasn't even figured out what to do fun at lunch yet. Like, he's just a little kid compared to, I'm sort of, I don't know, like a PhD in college of live streaming. Like, I go live constantly, and I've done it on every single platform and dealt with every pleasantry and every, well, not every negative thing, but all kinds of negative stuff. And I started out more fluent. I mean, I started out with, when the live stuff started, I was already dealing with trolls and dealing with live stuff. I've enjoyed live stuff. Shit, at AOL, that was my job, doing live stuff, working with the instant message stuff. I've always enjoyed the aspect of online that was live, and I don't think Paul, I mean, he does that, but it's definitely not his like favorite thing. So we're just different. But he's probably he might truck drive better than me. It's possible. But no, that's funny. He's also using some kind of system that sucks butts, because I can do this and he can't do that. And I cost my Patreons $25 a month for this. But this is what it's all about. It's the only reason I use the duck. But he's also not doing it. And that's one of my problems with the Second Amendment Foundation's format, is that they're interviewing people. So they're not really watching comments. They're supplementing comments. I don't really want them to do a live show, though. Like, if they never looked at the comments, I'd be okay. I'm not looking. I mean, I'd rather watch somebody who does live, like Locked and Loaded, right? They deal comments in the right way. Clover, right? Comments in the correct way. G23 comments accurately. Like, I don't need Paul to learn how to do comments. I'm glad Paul's kicking butt, though. I'm not giving him too much shit. I mean, he started out for some reason way behind, but now that he's doing it, he's advancing faster than anybody. Pretty much literally anybody.
I'm still trying to learn everything as I'm doing my live stream.
The nice thing we got, we had Hangouts since 2012, I think, to 2020. So we had Hangouts for 8 years, and almost nothing changed on Hangouts. Like, almost nothing, literally nothing. The only thing that changed ever, maybe 5 things changed in Hangouts, like layouts and features and everything. Maybe 5 things changed, and maybe, I don't know, maybe 7, I guess, if it was really that long. And I'm thinking of like every little tiny change. I don't remember anybody really ever being freaked out more than once or twice about a major change in Hangouts. So we all had that like handicap, basically. We all got so accustomed to Hangouts that nobody knew anything else really, except for stupid Skype, which was worthless, and nobody used it. And then whenever in September of 19, when they killed it and they took it away from everybody, then well, yeah, technically there's Hangouts, but you know what I'm saying? Like, when we used it to do this kind of stuff, then that took off everybody's training wheels, and a bunch of people couldn't deal with it and couldn't deal without the training wheels. And then the people that could learned how to bike. And Paul, I don't know if he ever even used Hangouts. Like, he was probably using stupid ass Skype, and then went to stupid ass Zoom. I think, is he using Zoom? Can you tell what he's using? I don't know what he's using. Whatever he's using, it sucks, and he doesn't know how to use it good, or both. But yeah, he's competent, but he's not fluent in whatever all he's using. or it's working against him and it's shitty. I suspect it's shitty for sure. And even if he had really good software, he would be awkward because he just doesn't like, he's too busy smoking. Am I allowed to say that? As an ex-smoker, he's too busy smoking. Maybe he should quit smoking. But no, I think he's just, he's got to get used to it. I can't imagine it's going to take him very long. Like I say, he's kicking so much ass on this thing compared to where he started from not too long ago. I wouldn't be surprised. His main issue is he hangs out with the same couple of people every 5 minutes, right? He's only got that circle of like 12 people that he hangs out with, and none of them hang out and do hangouts. Maybe Sandhills, but Sandhills barely does a show once a week, and he only invites the same 5 people in. So, you know, how fast can they evolve? They are doing it, and faster than other people did. But then again, well, I shouldn't say that. Some of us kicked the shit out of it back in the day. Oh, no, we got that horse jumping in. Speaking of kicking the shit out of it back in the day. Yeah, because it's going. So the Hangouts or whatever, I don't even like it anymore. I used to like it, and I would use the off-air Hangouts thing in email, but I quit using it. I'll just use an off-air StreamYard now. Makojo's saying, as a former smoker, I wish he quit for his health and for his equipment. If not for his health, for his equipment.
Who are we talking about?
Paul, Second Amendment Foundation host. He smokes all the time. Now, I was a smoker, so I can only say so much shit, and I'm a hypocrite, and I don't give a shit. But you feel better when you're not smoking. You lose, you got money, so that's nice having extra money laying around. For me, everything's a lot cleaner, so you don't got shit filthy all the damn time. Less shit to carry around. At first, that was one of the things that annoyed me because I like carrying around all that shit, but I like not having to carry around all that shit. And then, as far as like other people do not like it when you smoke half the time. Smokers don't care, but other people don't like it. So they're noticing shit that you don't pay attention to. So when Paul's in there smoking, he doesn't notice it, but everybody else is watching him smoke, and it's annoying and frustrating. And since so few people smoke anymore, I think it's just super noticeable. And then also, it's going to kill them eventually, or probably will, or could. I don't know what the actual numbers are, but it feels like you're healthier without smoking. So, I'd like to see them stick around longer than not. On the other hand, it's free country, so smoke up if you want to keep smoking. But mute the fuck up when you're smoking, motherfucker. Mute. Like, I don't know if anybody was watching today. It was all I could do to not fucking bother him about not muting. Holy shit. He records shit and breathes in there. And then what's his face refuses to mute. They make like a joke about it. I don't know why these guys who consider themselves professional podcasters, I can't even do it. Like, I'd have to get an actual microphone and then shove my nose into it to like.
I think that maybe someone just hasn't showed them where the mute button is yet.
Oh no, dude. They actually joked about it because back in the day when they first started, I went off on them because I don't like hearing some fucking man breathe into a fucking microphone, especially when somebody else is talking. Like, I've got a guest on, and the whole time the guest is on, you're going. Does my mic pick that up? Like, it's fucking annoying, right? And the guy's talking over here. So there was a couple of them. DJ's got my back. Like, come on, dude. Like, mute. So I don't know. I was not the only one who was leaving some comments in there, especially on some of them were so bad. There was also some noise issues or whatever. But anyway, there was a while there where we were all kind of putting comments in. I shouldn't say we all. I noticed other people besides me putting in comments that said mute, and then they made a joke about it. And the guy's like, I forgot what that. What's that guy? The guy from I can't think of his name. There's only like 6 people on that show. The other guy, not John. He goes, oh, we can hear you breathing. And he goes, and you will keep hearing me breathing. So it's like they intentionally don't mute. Morse. Yeah, Rob. Yeah, and I guess there are people that like that, and maybe that's a radio thing. holy crap, can you ever listen to NPR? It's definitely a thing on NPR.
Well, I thought most, like, I don't know, I can't remember honestly the last time I heard the radio host breathe into the mic, because they have those little covers and all that cut down on the wood noise.
Well, on NPR, it's not the breathing. Like, I was exaggerating that because I don't know how this mic actually picks it up. I'm just talking to my laptop right here. But when you have an actual microphone in front of you, you know, you can control, like, when you're humming at it or when you're making those noises and shit. And on NPR, it's a lot of the, I don't know if I can do it on this microphone, but like they'll, you know, when you fucking open your mouth, you can hear them fucking opening the mouth noise, and then like your tongue moving around in their noise. Like, it's just fucking gross. And man, they freaking, so like there's a couple of them. If you listen to NPR for any length of time, it's like their signatures. It's like because it's all audio. It's like that's how
that's how you know who's talking.
Yeah, seriously, it's like it's weird, and it's definitely like they're up in your ear, like they're Joe Bidening you the whole time. It's creepy. But anyway, so that might be a thing. Like, that might be a radio thing that I'm just not used to or whatever, looking for. But whatever. So freaking, it's an issue that I have, but it's also a taste, I guess, or it's something that's not that big of an issue. It's really the substance of their conversations that are more the issue, which again, I'm not super fan of either, because they just really interview everybody. Now I'm getting sick of that. Yeah, I don't get it. But anyway, my goal isn't to nag, but I will nag. So if anybody's got anything else to chat about, we could talk about that. Looks like a couple of people who normally remain quiet or are just showing up. Who's this person?
You know,
how do you even say that? Fenogurier? I don't know how to say that.
I saw your, well, if you haven't already talked about it tonight, I saw your movie review of The Alamo.
I only talked about that you put in the thing for Kentucky Rifle. Thanks for that. But yeah, I put it on. I guess it was on this channel. Man, it was not good. I thought I was going to be watching the John Wayne Alamo, which I like, and I watched.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Did you see this one? The one that I
no. So I saved it to my watch later. I watched today. I kind of watched about the first 5 minutes of it. Or maybe longer, maybe like 10 minutes of it. I got to a part where Crockett was like at some really fancy party and something like, and just I was just like, I knew like by the time that fancy party part came around, I was just like, I have a feeling this movie's not going to be what I think it's going to be.
You know, I think it must have been made like after, I don't remember, was Silverado the big one, or there was one that was like a bunch of Young Guns, maybe. There was like a bunch of Westerns there for a minute that were like sort of weird 80s modern Westerns that for some reason everybody thought were cool, like Tombstone, right? Like some Westerns were being made that were like 80s remakes. And that's where this Alamo comes from, I guess. Yeah. And it's like, it's somewhere between a TV show. It's somewhere between like Knight Rider and a movie. And not a good movie, like somewhere between Knight Rider and like a Blue Lagoon, like not a very good movie, just like a summer movie and like a medium TV show. It was just,
well, like I said, I'm only 10 minutes into it, and I kind of know, like, okay, you know, I've never seen this before. It's probably going to be worth watching once, but I just already know that the movie's just not going to be near as good as the original.
There's so many other good free ones. I can't say it's worth watching once. Like, if you really like The Alamo, then sure, watch it. If you really like the story or something, the first one, the good one, though, is so good that it's just pathetic compared to it. And it's not even a version of The Alamo. It's just like it's actually kind of annoying. If it was just like a movie about the Mexican War, I guess, or something, like the Texas-Mexican War, then all right. But if they made it The Alamo, it's just, my goal is, and it just depends on if I have time to do it, there's like that series of free movie Fridays I'm going to do another series called Good Movie Fridays, because there's actually like dozens of really good
I
ones.
have so many saved to a playlist on my YouTube. Oh, dude. There's so many
You
good-
know that they'll take them off every once in a while,
Well,
right?
no, not all of them, because so here's the thing. Especially with westerns and war movies, at least. I'm not sure about other movies, and I'm not talking about just spaghetti westerns or spaghetti war movies. I'm talking about like name brand movies like McClintock, right?
No, you're right.
You know
I'd say
McClintock,
80%.
right?
No, I hear you. There's probably
they
80% that have never left. They're always there.
they didn't. Well, McClintock, they never refiled for their copyright. They got to do that every 20 years. So that became public domain. Anyone can record.
Oh, is that why?
McClintock. And there is 1,000. I had no idea until I started looking into it. I'm part of a thing right now to save my local like movie theater, right? And so I'm trying to pitch an idea to them that to start playing old westerns and stuff like that that are public domain, that they can play for free, that they don't have to pay anyone. And like McClintock, and there's name brand movies with main stars, not just like I said, spaghetti westerns or something, but there's really good movies. And then there's a ton of spaghetti westerns you never heard of that are awesome. And they all fall into public domain now. No one extended their copyright and ban. That's all it takes.
Oh, that's crazy.
And there's a bunch. There's literally like, out of all of John Wayne's movies, there's over 20 that are public domain or something, like 23, right?
Well, that makes sense, because I've seen so many of them on like DVDs for $1 at the store.
Yeah. And so any of the public domain movies, but there's a ton of war. I mean, you wouldn't believe how many good movies, and that's an every 20-year thing. They have to redo that. So if they miss that, and they only get like,
or they can't afford, like if they made a bunch of movies because they were making money, but now they're just having to pay old
or the
fees.
production studio went out of business who usually did that and stuff, and that's all it takes.
Oh, I had no idea. I figured it was just like, I don't know, maybe Warner Brothers was like, oh, these are so old, you can have all of them for $1 or something.
McClintock is public domain, which means right now I could download it, I could burn it to DVDs and go sell it on the corner for $1. You know what I mean?
Doesn't it also mean you could chop it up and use pieces?
Anything. Well, you can already do that a little bit, called fair use, but you can do like the whole movie. Yeah, you can literally do the whole movie. It's public domain, so you own it essentially. It's part of it's your property. Everyone's property. But there is a ton. I mean, an absolute ton of those movies out there. They're not all on YouTube. You find a lot of them on these like free streaming services, like Tubi and Crackle, and a lot of the movies that those free streaming services play, Epics Now and this especially old westerns and stuff. Almost all those movies are public domain movies, and that's why a lot of them are kind of B-ish movies, or were never big hits.
So, like that Kentucky Rifle one is some channel on YouTube, but they're showing like that royalty free, or I mean
public domain.
Okay, and then you're saying some of these other movies from like the 80s and stuff that just for whatever reasons too.
A ton of B movies from the 80s and 90s, and there's a ton of either like the production company that originally made the movie or whatever went out of business, or it was just a box office bomb, and they just never thought it was worth re-upping the copyright and paying for that.
Do you think that Lone Wolf McQuade is like that? There's no way.
No, not movies that were box office hits within the last like 40 years. Kind of like not
because
really.
That's one of the free movies. You can watch Lone Wolf McQuade for free on YouTube. Just you don't even have to have a YouTube account. You just walk over and look at it for free. That's how awesome the internet is.
Well, and then there's another way to get to use movies too, which is you can pay the royalties for it to have access to it, just like the movie theater here does here, because they'll play some old movies here, right? They'll play like movies from the 80s and stuff. And when they do it, they have to pay for it, so they pay whoever the royalty fee and pay them like, oh, here's $300 for letting me play this movie for a week at my movie theater. Right?
Well, and that's where you get like YouTube saying like, hey, we'll buy this 200 movies for $600 and we'll get to play them all year. And they're like, oh, okay, that's better than not having $600. So sure.
But there's so many good movies you would just never even imagine that, you know, are public domain.
One movie I have not found is, and it's driving me nuts, is Carbine Williams. So Jimmy Stewart movie.
Yeah.
Carbine Williams. And so I did the deck and I put him in there because it seemed like an interesting story or whatever. And I don't think I've ever seen the movie, or if I did, I was a little kid and I don't remember it. So I put him in the deck, and then something else I was doing research on. They say that Carbine Williams is a bunch of bullshit and he basically faked his story or whatever. So that makes me want to watch the movie even more now to find out. I don't think the movie addresses that part of it, but now it makes me want to see the movie, and you know, with the awareness that after the fact, I think after there was like speculation or whatever that word is, like people suspected, I guess that's the word, that he was bullshit and that he didn't kind of invent it the way he did, or that it was really already invented and he just took credit for it, kind of thing. Anyway, I haven't found that anywhere. Any of the sources, bar none, everything I've ever looked for, every time I ever find a place to look at movies, I've looked for Carbine Williams and I haven't found it. So I don't know what that means. I guess it means that it was probably only on VHS ever, or if even that, and no one ever kept a copy or got around to making a digital copy of it.
It's for rent on Amazon Prime for $1.99.
Oh, it is? For how much?
$1.99.
On Amazon?
Yeah, to rent for $1.99 or buy for $5.99.
Oh, I don't have Prime anymore, but okay. Well, that's cool then. So it is on digital. It's just a matter of somebody eventually getting it on one of the places I can see it for free. Which means it'll happen because most
Epix Now, the Epix Now thing is free, I think, and there's a bunch of good streaming things right now that have a ton of old westerns on them. I mean, and those are the companies, like those streaming services, those are the ones who are putting every, you know, public domain movie on there, right? So you get a chance to see, I mean, a crap load of movies of like old westerns and stuff like that, old war movies. And so I would definitely check some of the popular streaming services like Crackle or that Tubi or just whatever. I mean,
Kojo's saying that they got a CGI bra covering up the boobs on RoboCop. I did not notice that, so I don't remember where the nudity is in RoboCop. But I did see that RoboCop was one of the free ones to watch. But that's hilarious. I figure if you can watch, if they can see a gun squiggling around, then they can see boobs, and they can just cover them up, right?
yeah, but they've already, like, I don't know. I don't know. It's generally, I guess, you know, it's not a faux pas to have a man without a shirt. And I think there's some man boobs that I don't know if the computer could tell them apart. Like, I don't know.
Well, all it would do is put a fake
bra on the man. That's what I'm saying. Then it would be like embarrassing the man. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm gonna have to watch some movie, like, I don't know, Road Warrior or something, like where there's some guy without a shirt on, see if it's a bra.
No, we're talking about the free movies or whatever. The BS part of it is the commercials.
Politicians have proposed a new...
There are a lot of commercials, and what bugs me the most, there's a lot of commercials in the movie, so you'll be seeing commercials often, but there's not a lot of variety of commercials, so you'll see often like repetitively, a lot, you'll see the same freaking commercial, which is annoying as hell. So like every so often, and it stops, and then same ass commercial. A little while later, stops, same ass commercial.
I have the commercial thing beat on YouTube. I have it absolutely beat. So it only works, I think, as far as, at least for what I know, it only works with a old PlayStation 3, that old gaming system. You just turn on the YouTube app on that, and then you find what you want to watch on your phone, right? And then you hit the Cast To button and cast it to your PS3, so it sends it to your PS3. And now there's literally no ads for anything you watch, whether it's a regular video or a movie or anything. I get absolutely zero ads. But if I do the same thing with my Roku device, the Rokus give me commercials. Like everything else gives me commercials. That PlayStation 3, like, I mean, it just works. Like, no commercials, not a single one, nothing. It's like the best thing ever.
Okay, well then that's cool, dude, because wait, hold on.
The thing that sucks about that, though, is like you have like some kind of video game controller, so it's not easy to search on and stuff like that. So that's why you use your phone to search for the movie you want and find what you want to watch or whatever, and then you just hit that little, it's called like the cast button, but it looks like it's like a square with like the little kind of Wi-Fi symbol on the bottom left corner.
Sure.
You press that button, then it senses, like, I guess, the other devices in your house, and you can cast it to TVs or different devices. And I cast it to that PlayStation 3, and that's the only. Both, I have two different Rokus, and they both play commercials doing the same thing. But that PlayStation, I mean, absolutely zero commercials.
Well, but I like
about the.
Go ahead.
Are you talking about like the Chromecast button?
Yeah, the Chromecast button, on YouTube. I hit that and I stream it to the PS3 or send it to the PS3. And when I do that, I get zero commercials on everything. It's like the best thing ever to watch YouTube on. Like,
so, well, that's cool, because instead of being like a pop-up blocker or some kind of like thing that breaks the system, you're just basically using the system in a whatever, like, I don't want to say like format, but like in a series, like through a portal that it offers, that it just doesn't have a way to filter or provide ads through. So you're still watching the same content without any kind of artificial stimulus. It's just that through that particular path, I guess, they can't shove the ads down. So that's classic. And if it isn't bothering your resources, then that's definitely the way to do it. And it's almost like it sounds like you almost got like the remote control in your hand then, because you've got your like phone. Sort of a cool remote control.
You just use you can even control the volume on your phone to my TV.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like pause it, switch to the next video. And I just use the phone, and it's easy if you use your phone, but if you try and use that video game controller, it's a pain in the ass to go to every single letter and type out to search something, right? But that Chromecast button, man, like, you do that, just use your phone, and I do that all the time. I even do it for listening to music in my house. I just let it play on my TV, and because I get no commercials at all. Like, it's song after song after song after song. It's better than the radio.
I'm going through. I looked for the locker scene. I think they just must have cut it out of the one on YouTube, because I don't see anything that got a CGI anything on the locker scene that they got here. But that would be funny to see a floating bikini sound. I've been looking for that this whole time. Yeah, little extra bonus life hack for free.
Well, I don't know how much those things cost, but I think they're only like $50 or something too. Like, I don't think they're like very much money. Probably maybe even cheaper at a pawn shop. Like the the disk drive doesn't even work on mine. It's my son's old one, right? And before I got a Roku thing, I started using that to do the like the smart apps or whatever, the different TV apps on the PlayStation. And when I got the Roku, that's one of the first things I noticed is, man, now I got ads on YouTube. Like, so I used the Roku for everything, for Amazon Prime and like everything else. But YouTube, turn on the PlayStation.
That's what I was going to ask too. Is that something you figured out accidentally, or like did you read it somewhere and figured it out? And
I just always kind of assumed it was just a thing, like on when you were like Chromecasting devices, until I got the Roku. And then when I started doing it on the Roku and noticed commercials, I figured, oh, this must be a PlayStation 3 thing. So my son has a PlayStation 4, and when he watches YouTube, it plays commercials. So, it's just something to do with, I guess, the PlayStation 3 is all I can figure, but maybe other devices do it too. And you have to Chromecast it from your phone too. Like you have to do that. So.
All right. Well, I am yawning and I got to get up in the morning. So I am going to suggest we start wrapping it up. We've been going for about 2 hours and 21 minutes, according to the thing. If I can wrap this thing up in about 40 seconds, then that'll be 2 hours, 22 minutes, and 22 seconds. So that's what I'm going to attempt to do. Does anybody got anything real quick to end it with? Or to shout out before we end it? G23's got a show tomorrow.
Yep, I'm going to be doing my show at my normal time. Hope to see everyone there.
What time?
3 Pacific, 6 Eastern.
Right on. So it's a G23 channel. You can literally just type in G23, look for the G with 23 on it, and then usually post your show a little bit before.
Yeah, I try to do it about Saturday mornings.
But otherwise, yeah, thanks to everybody. Or Dead Horse, you got anything to shout out there? I noticed you've been getting a bunch of, well, I guess we don't have to end it right at 222, because I just noticed you got a bunch of black powder stuff. That pistol kit, me and my dad used to make them when I was a little kid. So just depends, like, I guess it's kind of like a model kit where it's really crude. It's just sort of like, or like a Pinewood Derby kit. You can either get it together and use it, or you can put it together and put a little effort into it and it'll look nice, or you could use it as the beginning of like a craft adventure and like get it to look amazing, like just because you can really whittle them things and carve on them, and like they give you a lot of stock, a lot of material, so you can just put as much time and effort in it as you want. So I don't know if you've never done one of those before. I would have thought you've done those before.
No, I've never done one of these before.
It's kind of crude, it's like super primitive, I guess. So it's not even like AK-47, AR-15 crude, right? It's like primitive crude, but in a way, like, oh man, I got into them for a minute there, and they're nothing. They cost nothing. So I think I bought like 4 or 5, like in no time, because as soon as I got into their triggers and stuff, I was like, oh, these are neat. They're nothing. They're weird. They're like looking at old-fashioned locks and stuff. Yeah, so anyway, yeah. Is that something you're going to like spend some actual time on, or just like put it on the shelf and get to it?
This one I'm going to spend a little time on. I want it to look good, but I'm not going to spend like a bunch of time on. But I will spend it, like, I'm guessing someone could probably install one of those kits and stain the stock in like less than an hour or something, right? Like, I'm probably going to take a couple days with it and just, try and make it pretty right. But that's just going to me, it's just preparation, because I'm going to get a flintlock. I want a 32 cal Crockett, flintlock, and be able to not have to worry about an ignition source like primers or percussion caps. And then that'll teach me how to nap my own flint, which if you can nap a flint for a flintlock, you can make an arrowhead.
I guess. I mean, go for it. Flint should be easier than nap and other stuff, and it isn't difficult, but I mean, it takes a little bit of practice.
I've never done it. So
it doesn't. I mean, Indians fucking did it, dude. Like anybody can fucking. I mean, like Indians without the internet just showed each other how to do it, and everybody was an expert. Like it's not that hard. But the thing is, you can just go to the store and buy them. Like you don't have to nap them if you don't want to. You can just buy them. And that's the thing. I buy them all the time for nothing. It's like buying anything for old guns. People that got the stuff don't know what it is, so they sell it to you for $1. And if you're really desperate, you can go to like the store and buy it. But if you go to any gun show and know what you're looking for, you accumulate a bunch of that stuff in no time. Yeah. So as soon as I bought my first actual flintlock, I was like, oh, cool. And then I was like, oh, dang, what do I do when this breaks? And then it broke. And I'm like, dang it. Like, why did I jinx myself, right? And then I think I went to the store and bought flint like a sucker. And then as soon as I actually paid like $7 for a thing of flint, it just started to rain flint on me. Every time I turned around, I was discovering more fucking flint everywhere. And it's always like the same. It looks like a fat postage stamp. Like they cut it to the right side. Yep. I mean, it's the machines that cut it, right? So you're going to get it. You'll find flint before you know it. I would say it's probably tougher for me, at least, to find flint, the rock, than it would be to find the pieces because, you know what I'm saying, there's so many stores and stuff that have it. But no, I agree with you 100%. And I don't know what caliber it is, but I'll keep telling you, I think it's probably a 32 because that's whatever most of the time, whatever most of the kits are, either 32 or 36 or whatever they are. The thing I shoot the most with them is just I bring black powder, the gun, and I have a 9mm cartridge that with some wire that I made into like a little cup, like a little ladle looking thing. I imagine taking some wire around the rim and twisting it, and that turned it into like a little measuring cup thing out of a 9mm case. The only thing that 9mm cases are good for. And then you put that much gunpowder into the gun, and then 7.62 by 39 spent case, an old rusty one, backwards. So it's primer. Going to shoot the primer first, and then flint. Bang, and then that thing shoots just as accurately as any bullet, and they're free because out here people just shoot 7.62 and leave it laying there. So I can sit there shooting steel with my flintlock, shooting 7.62 by 39 spent cases as if they were projectiles for free. All it costs me is my back.
Do you just shoot them like empty, or do you ever fill them up with something?
No, just turn them around and shove them in there. There's 9mm case worth of powder, and then whatever powder you have to put in the pan. You know, to start the flint or to hit the flint hits. But most of the time I don't shoot that one because it is a pain in the ass. It takes forever. So I just shoot caps because as soon as I bought my cap guns or whatever, the ones that have caps, same thing. Like every time. Actually, what I was looking for is some 22 shorts. I was looking for 22 short BBs, or I always just look at 22 shorts when they come in those little tins, the little circular tins. And 99% of the time they're not 22 shorts, they're instead stupid, black powder caps. And whoever has them is either a black powder shooter, in which case they want like $2 per tin, and then 99% of the time they're not a black powder shooter, in which case they want like 50 cents for the tin. So I don't even know how many tins of black powder caps I have. Billions.
I actually bought the die that makes the percussion caps, the number 11 percussion caps.
So you just make them out of like a sheet of copper, or what? Or like out of an aluminum can?
Aluminum can or aluminum flashing.
Fuck yeah. I would want to get a pair of pliers so I could just sit there cranking out caps like, right? Like a pair of pliers, like a riveter.
Yep. Well, this is just a die that goes in your press, and it has a little slice in it, and you just stick the sheet. So you either cut up in a can and lay it flat, or just your flat roof flashing, and you just stick it in the slot in the die, and you put this punch in your ram of your press, and you just pull the handle and move the sheet sideways. And it just
how many does it make at one time then?
One every punch. So every time you pull the handle down, it makes one.
I thought you were going to say like 75 or 100 or something like that. That would be awesome.
No, so it's one at a time, but I bought the priming compound for that too.
Look who's out there. Honda's out there. So he's saying he's going to make a $50, a slam fire shotgun at Home Depot for $50.
Oh heck yeah! I bet for $50 it's going to be nice, dude, because you can make one a lot cheaper than $50.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't make nothing. What's his face? Do you remember that one dude who was back in the day? He lived in the woods. I want to say like West Virginia, maybe, but I don't remember. He was somewhere back east. Anyway, his whole thing was having a slam fire shotgun. And this was like 2010 or 9, even 10, 11, I guess, maybe 2011. This guy, oh man, what I don't know if you were sticking around watching stuff back then. Anyway, this guy would shoot his slam fire shotgun all the time, and it was literally just 2 pieces of pipe and an end cap. Like it was nothing, and I really liked that one. I think he made it 26 inches long so that he wouldn't get in trouble, right, with it being a short shotgun or something. So 26 inches overall, and just maybe he had. No, if you have a 26-inch long barrel and a 26-inch long overall, you're still good to go. I don't think there's something that says you have to have receiver size. But anyway, it was just 2 pipes, and they just slid into each other, so it didn't look like nothing. And, or maybe, is that okay? I don't know if that's okay or not, if you have to have a pistol grip on it. But what I was going to say is once they start putting pistol grips and stocks and stuff on them to make them all look like some kind of weird elbows and shit, then I quit liking them. It just seemed too complicated.
So, did you watch Ruguru's video that he did on the what was it? Ruguru. He's a newer kind of channel. He's pushing 500 subscribers now. I started watching him way back when he was like 20 subscribers or less. But he built like a slam fire, I think it was a 6 or 8 barrel rifle shotgun for, what was it, NEA's submission.
For a zombie gun submission under 150 or something,
like
or
just a cheap gun or whatever.
I think it was a cheap zombie gun under something, right?
Yeah, it was a zombie gun submission, but yeah, it was like a 6 barrel shotgun that he built.
One of the best cheap ways I've seen to do that is, you got your 2 pieces of that basic design, right? And the rear piece, you get a massively oversized piece of gas pipe, like 1 inch gas pipe, 1.25 inch gas pipe. Go ahead and put an end cap on that, whatever. Then have it only be like maybe 8 inches long. Then get a reducer down to your 3/4 inch, and then you build it like how you've seen everyone else build it from the front forward. But that larger piece in the rear allows you to buy a cheap Chinese quad rail that bolts to itself. So you put that around the pipe, the 7 and 1/4 inch, carbine length quad rails. They're like $15-$20 all over. And it, 4 bolts, it bolts to itself. Now that squeezes around the pipe and bolts snugs on that pipe. And now that you have those quad rails, that allows you to attach a decent grip. It allows you to put some sort of sight on it if you want, or a flashlight, whatever you want. But you got that quad rail in the rear now, and that allows you to get an actual good rear grip. You know what I mean? Like I think like that's one of the best things I've seen, where it's cheap and easy and no welding or special tools or like but in the front of it, for a front handle on that, I've seen people just take a hose clamp basically, and take a piece of a piece of Picatinny rail, and hose clamp that Picatinny in like 2 spots to the front, and then they put another, grip on the front. And but that would give you 2 good grips. I like the ones that are straight and look like a piece of pipe, but those can also be unwieldy. And it's this 3/4 inch pipe.
What was the name of the kid who hung out with Serbu? The
Royal None and Such.
Royal None Such. Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Honda's saying some other guy, Echo Machines. Hung out with him also. Mark's definitely into building guns or whatever.
Oh yeah, all sorts of crazy stuff.
This here is my blunderbuss.
Oh yeah. See, dude, I would love a blunderbuss. That'd be so, with a brass barrel like that. That's a really nice one, man. A lot of the ones I see are right now are just all steel, like a thin steel.
So I don't know if it's real or if it's a wall hanger and it's just a really good wall hanger, or if it's a bad good one. But like, you see how I'm having to fiddle, like there's powder in the pan. I'm putting down the dealie, but that thing just doesn't hold my flint good. So it took all that many shots to get it to get enough spark to go down to make it go off or what. But I'm just shooting it in the house, so I was just blowing it for effect. I didn't have nothing in there. I had powder in there, but no stuff. And then, but anyway, so it's pretty crude. I really, really, really like it. But I don't really shoot nothing out of it because I don't know if it's fake or if it's real. It's right in the middle. This is what I use, triple F.
Yeah.
Blunderbuss, I can put more in there. So you kind of have to put more in there, otherwise it won't even go off because there's just such a big hole or big.
You have to like pack it down with some like tissue paper or something.
Kind of, because if you don't, like I say, it'll just fall to the bottom of that giant thing. Like when I put it in that cannon, it's not such a big deal, but if you don't, it'll just be at the bottom of the blunderbuss and never go off. Like you kind of have to pack it to the back, and it makes much smoke.
One thing that I saw is that when the flint comes down, or is that plate checkered?
Kind of, but not good. Like I probably need to go in there with some sort of a file and fiddle with it.
Even just like 3 straight lines up there, perfectly smooth. You can just do like 3 straight lines down, and that'll throw the sparks so much better.
Oh wait, you're saying instead of being horizontal, make them vertical?
Yeah, straight up and down, 3 straight lines. That was like one of the most common, like I guess you could say, battlefield modifications of the Revolutionary War. When they were,
I guess it makes sense because it would throw your spark in a up and down direction instead of sideways, right?
Well, mainly straight down, so that flint's not ahead of the spark. The flint kind of gets ahead of the spark, and the spark's behind it, so the flint's blocking that spark from actually getting to the pan, or at least a lot of it, right? Does that make sense? The flint, because it's actually dragging across there. Think about like dragging a flint across at that angle of that steel. The flint is kind of actually getting in front of a lot of that spark as it's coming down. And if you have the lines there, that helps give the spark somewhere to actually throw forward to.
So that video had, I forget how many views, like 15,000 views or something. And that was like 3 minutes long, and all I did is blow off the powder out of it, right? Like a couple of times in my house. This video, I go to the range, and I thought it was like 7 minutes long. I guess it's only 3 minutes long. But I'm at the range for 3 minutes talking about this gun at the range, and I never shoot it. And that has 189,000 views. I'll bet you every single one of them people is like, you asshole, like, shoot that gun. I think I sit there going blah 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 blah.
A lot of these like Civil War reenactors and all that, they just basically kind of like make a flash paper that just basically throws some smoke out the end of the gun, and they shoot that, and you know, and you can make that your own flash paper.
Oh man, I don't even want to. Should we talk about that?
Yeah, I've been learning it because if I have problems with my paper cartridges,
three ingredients. I want to make some paper so bad and put it in that blunderbuss. Yeah, 3 ingredients, and you can make it to where it disappears when it burns. It's like like you say, flash paper. It's just gone. It consumes itself, right? The ash.
And it does it fast. Like
that's the other part. You can happen so fast you can light it in your hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, super neat. And 3 ingredients you can get at the hardware store.
Yep.
So, super neat. Gun cotton. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I don't ever do that stuff because, I was into 2A or whatever. I could probably quit doing 2A, fiddle with that blunderbuss for an afternoon, and make more money than I'd make in a month doing 2A. Should probably do that. But I was looking, the reason I'm looking at that blunderbuss is I was in my channel looking for videos where I'm shooting the black powder, and I guess I don't have them, or at least I don't see them. I didn't label them good. But yeah, I don't remember what caliber I have. I think when you buy black powder, almost 99% of the time, it's one of the 30s or it's a 44.
The common calibers are going to be like 58, 54, 50, 45, and then down to 32 for rifle. And then for pistol, it'll be 36, 44.
Okay, so it's like 36, 32, and 44 is like the ones that I'm used to seeing. And it's one of the 32s. I don't have a 44, nothing. So
that's the popular ones today. Back in the day, right? It was actually more common, like let's say like Civil War, to have a 40 or a 42 caliber rifle. Those were the 2 most common. Like, like 32 cal was considered like a squirrel rifle. If we're hunting squirrel and really small game, the 32 cal ball. But the average civilian rifle was made in 40 or 42 caliber during the Civil War.
That's interesting. A lot of people don't know, but the word parabellum means for squirrel. So the 9mm parabellum is 9mm for squirrel. That was originally what it was made for. And they were like, "Oh, this doesn't even knock a squirrel out of a tree, let alone kill it. So we're gonna have to make a different caliber." And then,
and then before the rifling took was all over, but before it got really down because of the invention of the lathe, to where they could kind of mass produce it, and there was more than one-off custom pieces, like all the musket guns that were smoothbores, those were all like this, usually the super large caliber, 72, 69 caliber, 62, 60 caliber stuff. So all the smoothbore guns are usually going to be like the really high numbers, like all the way to like 73 cal and stuff, brown Besses.
But anyway, so I don't remember what caliber I got, but whatever my pistols are all the same caliber, and whatever the caliber is, I'm guessing 32, it fits the 7.62 by 39s. So
that would be 45, I bet.
No, it can't be 45. There's no way. I mean, I guess it's possible, but I just don't think so, because I don't think I've ever bought 45 balls. Now, here's the other thing. I've never bought balls for it. I just go to the store. I used to hang out at the gun shop, so I would just shove ones in there until they were the right ones, and then if I buy that partial bag, you would just give them to me usually.
I was guessing 45 because 45 and like 7.62 by 39, or like a 308 base case, takes the same shell hole.
Well, and remember, it's tapered, so it would be bigger than the projectile at the base. So I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, like I say, they fit. I just figured out one time that they fit in there, and then I figured out that the rusty ones fit even better.
Yeah,
like
the rim diameter on a 7.62 by 39 is .447.
Okay, well then I must have 50 cals. So anyway, so yeah, they fit in there good, and well, for a while there, I would bring my cap one, every single time we went shooting because it was so fun. When we're shooting up in the mountains, we can shoot up. I don't know if you ever get a chance to shoot up.
Oh, yeah.
And shooting up is way more fun than just shooting straight across. Shooting straight across you can do anywhere, almost any time. Shooting down is okay, but it's hard. Shooting up isn't hard, and it's funner, so it's way better. And I guess it's more like hunting, maybe, if you're shooting up at stuff. But anyway, it was certainly fun to shoot black powders up. You can't really shoot them down. Stuff falls out of them. So shooting it, and we would bring back in the day like a thing, like a big can or some kind of piece of metal we'd shove out there. This is back before we could afford, and nobody really made steel targets back in the old day. So you would just bring like a wheel or something out there to make noise. And then we would bring it home. But, we'd bring something big that would be made out of metal, sometimes a propane can, but they didn't make enough noise. Something heavy, they would usually pain in the ass to drag out there, shoot at it all afternoon, and then bring it back. So anyway, those were super fun. Just shoot 7.62 by 39 cases, which are big pieces of metal at some piece of metal. And once we started bringing out the met steel targets that we got, holy crap! It was just the
I'm
funnest thing
wondering
ever.
what one of those field trolls I could be.
I don't like shooting them. When I was a little kid, I used to shoot black powders all the time because I don't know why. I thought it was cool, I guess. My dad was a nut for them. And like I say, we had them. We built them. So I've shot our ones that we built, and then we had real ones, and then we had other kinds. I didn't like any of them. I've shot a lot of different kind of black powder stuff, enough that I don't think my dad was a recreator. If he was a recreator, what do they call those people that go to Civil War things? Reenactors?
Yeah.
He might have been, now that I think about it, and I just never paid attention. Actually, he might have been. I never even paid attention. But he definitely had the guns of a reenactor. So I've shot a ton. And when you know what it's like when you go to a range. And in the olden days before the internet, and you went to the range for the whole day, like you shot a lot of guns. Like that's what you went to the range for, is to bring your guns to share with other people who are going to shoot you guns while you were shooting their guns, right? So there was a lot of guns getting shot, and you only had to bring a certain number of guns to be able to shoot a lot of other guns. So I've shot a ton of black powder guns, and I don't think I like any of them. They always hurt, and they're always uncomfortable, and they always are weird. They're fun to shoot. They're interesting to shoot for damn sure, but they almost always hurt, and they suck. And some of them are accurate as hell, and most of them are just interesting. Like they're not even accurate. They're funny, I guess.
Have you ever done the paper cartridges?
No, I saw you playing. I mean, I've seen them for sure. I've never, if I've ever done them, somebody gave me one and I put it in there. Like I've never had to make one or anything. It was kind of interesting. I thought there was a lot less to it. I figured there was some machine that did it.
No, just basically you can taper a wooden dowel yourself on cigarette paper.
Yeah, it looks like you're basically rolling a cigarette every time you make one.
And a little glue stick of like cornstarch. You can make your own glue and just use cornstarch, or just buy the little glue sticks of cornstarch.
Hun is out here making me do all kinds of work, saying you're supposed to take credit for making him reload.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he has stuff to reload 38 special right now. He's not, the ammo thing's probably not hurting him.
I don't know, does anybody do this anymore? Especially you reloading people. You people ever, you take a sheet of wax, I guess, and you just wrote up a bunch of 38 primers and then just shove them into the wax, and then you shoot the wax. Just a primer though, no powder.
Now, I read about Elmer Keith doing that stuff, and I haven't done wax. I've done earplugs. I 3D printed some projectiles, and I was basically just using the primer to,
And then Haas gave me a magazine full of 9s or 380s. There might have been 380s that somebody made with hot glue. Like the projectiles are just hot glue.
Yeah.
You
can use a bullet mold and hot glue. I've heard.
Well, that's probably what they did. I was going to say they look pretty fucking neat, so I bet you that's exactly what they did. Yeah.
And I've heard of people using like Elmer's glue, or maybe it was.
I don't
wood
know if
glue,
that would.
but it was either Elmer's glue or wood glue. But they used one like a glue like that, and to in
Oh
a
shit!
mold.
What if you took wood glue and sawdust? So you made like a weird put. What do you call that? Like a peg? No.
A hybrid. It's some kind of
Like what you would put into like repair like a plug, I guess, like a thing you'd shove into a hole to fill
cork. The cork actually might be good to shoot out.
Well, I mean, cork was a thing. I think cork it's too expensive. I don't think you want to replace cork all the time.
One thing that I've found that works good is you can buy little tiny felt wads that are made to put on the bottom of furniture and the back of your cupboard doors, so they don't slam hard and stuff. And
you should be able to take just any piece of felt and just sharpen a case.
Yeah,
and
cut it out.
Your own punch, right?
But you can buy like when you look at the time to do that versus like what you can buy a roll of like 1,000 of those felt wads. Yeah, 1,000 of those felt wads are like $13 or something.
Honda's complaining about primers now. I thought the hardest of core reloaders would make your primers out of aluminum cans.
Yeah.
And match heads.
Or just reload the ones you got, save your own primers and reload it.
Spite. Oh, you take the ones you unreloaded? Well, that's true. You also save them as a recyclable anyway, right? Like, so people should keep all their primers just because at some point you're going to take those to a recycling center.
And they make good air gun pellets, both the small and large primers.
Wait, what?
Yeah. So you take a small rifle primer is like 176, right, or a small pistol primer.
Oh shit!
So
I never even thought of that.
You take a punch with the round end on it, right? That kind of has that half ball round end, and you find the right size punch.
Damn it.
And you just set it on the top of the primer on the back part that's kind of open, and you just give it a light little tap with the hammer, and now you just flared that out like a skirt, and you stick it in your pellet rifle, and you shoot it. And then the large primer ones are like 2-1, right? They're not as close as the 176s of the small rifle, so you got to flare the large rifle ones a little bit bigger. But the large rifles are for your 22 cal. So.
Damn, that's super cool. I don't know if I used to have like this box that I kept all my old primers in, and I wonder if I still have that, or if I threw it away, or if I gave it to somebody, or what I did with it. But
and they shoot really fast, and they're more accurate than what
you just leave the anvil in there too, huh?
I don't do. The only thing I do is wash them. Before I shoot them, I stick them in my wet tumbler. But you can just stick them in a bottle with some hot water and a little bit of dish soap and sit there and shake them up in a Gatorade bottle and then, strain it and pour it on a towel. But I just wash them in my wet tumbler before I shoot them in my air rifle because I don't want to be breathing any like unburnt or any burnt like primer compound stuff. You know what I mean?
And that's the worst chemical of a bullet is the primer.
Yeah. So all I do is wash them, but I leave the anvil and everything in them. And I've been shooting them for a long time doing that. And I've even weighted them. You can weight the back of them with glue. And
with what?
With just any type of glue that you have, whatever's cheap, office glue or whatever. And but just a little drop in the back of them after you flare that skirt gives them several grains of extra weight.
What would happen if you took what the hell is in one of them little snap things when you throw them and they make a noise? But if you took a couple of those things and stuck them inside of one of them, would it go off, you think? Maybe with a 22.
So you can diesel, and dieseling is where we'll take like a drop of 301 oil or rim oil or vapor rub, Vicks vapor rub, because it's more of a jelly substance is a popular one. But you could literally use kerosene, gas, anything, and you just wipe that on the back of the skirt or push the skirt in a little bit, push the pellet in a little bit deeper, and you drop one drop of 3-in-1 oil in there, right? Or a little smear of Vicks vapor rub. And when you shoot it, the compression of the air will actually ignite that substance. And over a chronograph, I get about 200 feet per second faster dieseling with my good stuff. Some of the stuff that doesn't work as good might only be 50 to 100 feet per second faster. But I get up to 200 feet per second faster dieseling my air rifles. And I only do this with strong springers, not like plastic daisies or anything, but like strong Springer air rifles. And but by dieseling, so I don't know if you actually took that substance out. I'm sure it would diesel, but in the little actual bag, I don't know. There's like a bunch of crust standing.
I don't think I was thinking like that. I was thinking of as in the projectile. So if you put it into the primer and then it hit, when it hit, if it would deform and make that thing snap. I don't think you'd be able to have enough in there, and I don't know if it would deform enough to make enough fast pressure to make a noise.
I don't know. There's a couple other things that you can shoot out of air rifles too. There's a really popular copper nail, believe it or not, that is the perfect size that you can buy at the hardware store, and it's a copper nail, and people are cutting those and that's for $177.
Dang it! I'll have to check that out. I bet you I can just eyeball it. I was going to say, I bet you there's got to be I used to take things like Q-tips and stick them in there. Those work great for darts. They're just not accurate necessarily unless you fiddle with them. But I've seen things you could shove in there. I was thinking there's probably some interesting things you could shove in there, but I didn't think of like something that was metal.
Yeah, they're shooting these copper nails about, like 2 inches long, I want to say they are. 2 inches. There's videos on YouTube of it, but several guys are doing it. And they're maybe like 2¼ inches long, but they're more like a dart, But they're heavy and they're long and they're the perfect size, and they're cutting these nails up. And they say that it's the same price as like the premium all copper projectiles, like that. Like it's really not any like less expensive, but it's kind of like a dart at that point. It's shooting more of a dart. And they're penetrating like 1/2-inch pieces of wood, like stuff like this. So it's definitely got some power. Air rifles is a good. I've always been an air rifle. That's a good substitute right now with this ammo crunch. Right now, I can buy 500 shots of like 22 caliber pellets for like $9, and I can buy a decent air rifle for 100, 120. One that's actually decent, and not I can buy an okay one for like $60. But that's like a backyard in your basement in your garage. That's good. Trigger time's trigger time. The same fundamentals. It's you're looking at ways to supplement your shooting. You can't get ammo and stuff right now. Even a pellet air gun. Even one of those little classic Crossman, what is it, the 1377 or whatever air gun. One of those little hand air guns would be great to supplement shooting time right now.
Yeah, or just to have like as enhanced darts type of game, or like non-digital video game type of just fun activity to have, like say kind of a darts / playing chicken or horse or something.
Oh, they have games. There's like pellet traps, that will be kind of boxy shaped and all that. That'll have this like the little usual spinners and knockover targets. They've come up with some creative ones now that are pretty amazing, that even have motorization to it. They have some where it takes 2 people. One has to shoot the target, and when you shoot the target, it launches a pop can up in the air, and the second person has to shoot the pop can up in the air, right? And so it's like the whole commercial for it actually shows like a brother sister, like it's family thing, right? Like because it takes two people to accomplish that one. And but they've got to be pretty good.
I'm okay with the girl watching boys. But I don't like the idea of a girl having that.
Well, it was definitely the girl who shot the target, and the boy, I think, was the one who got the cannon. Yeah.
So, thanks first off to Garrett for the $10. Definitely appreciate that. 23 is about to jump out. Feel free. I was going to end it, but then we started chatting about the black powder stuff. Yesterday was saying about shooting the 7.62 by 39 cases out of the black powder pistols. I'll probably do a video on that. I do need to start selling out.
Yeah,
but it's like I say, that's a no-brainer. But like I say, it does require caps or flint and powder. Now you can make powder, so that would be interesting to try it. Well, the thing is, you can't. You can technically make the chemicals, the 3 chemicals you need to make some sort of a powder or whatever, but I'm not getting into all that. But anyway, doing that video is one thing, but then I think it was it also yesterday that said something about alternative. Somebody said something about having alternatives, right? Oh yeah, it was yesterday with ammo being scarce, alternative shooting methods, i.e. primers or the case tip, could be a good video. So I got the hiccups. Quit talking so my hiccups go away. I was going to say alternative things besides ammo would be a bow, right? It's obvious because bow and arrows are available, and I guess they give you distance or whatever, and accuracy and power. You could take down an elk or something with a right bow and arrow. You could definitely defend yourself with the right bow and arrow and defend yourself handily, like effectively. But no bow and arrow is just like, oh, I got my bow and arrow done. Like, it's just like a gun or anything else. You're going to need a whole bunch of accessories and skills, and it becomes like a whole nother thing. So I'm going to basically disregard it because I'm barely aware. I'm not like, I don't have any of that stuff and I'm not into it. But BB guns would be another way to have an alternative thing. I don't disagree. But again, they have their needs also. So what I was going to say is slingshots are getting into a realm of like replicable or like improvisable maintenance and upkeep. So slingshots, wrist rockets and whatnot. And once you know how to shoot a wrist rocket good, you get some skill set that you'll be able to apply to like an improvised slingshot that you make out of whatever you can make do. But then slings, like not for a rifle, but like actual sling. I forgot what I was watching. I was watching something and that led to something. And then it was this guy with a sling that was like an adult with a sling that when it had his hand out, like at his waist, the sling went all the way to his feet. So like I would call that a big sling, like a long sling or whatever. And a sling that size, you can wing something almost the size of a grapefruit. Like you can sling something really big with a sling that goes from your waist to your feet. So he was throwing something, I think the size of maybe your fist or a little bit smaller than that, but like, something you wouldn't want to get hit with. And he wung that thing around maybe 5 or 6 times and then threw it or flung it or whatever it's called when you shoot something out of a sling. And I've seen, you sit there doing it for an afternoon, you can get pretty damn effective with a sling. It takes like no time at all to figure it out, and get to be shooting like the size of a pumpkin all day long. Anyway, you can wing a rock bigger than you can throw with a sling accurately, way farther than you can throw it, way more accurately. Certainly keep people or a critter at distance. So that's what was going to be my thing, is that all these tech solutions are fun, but when you really want to think about it, like I think learning how to sling is the best thing ever. And you can literally make a sling out of fabric, 550 cords, leather, anything like nylon strap you could probably make a sling out of. I mean, once you have that skill set, and like I don't know if you've done it as scouts or something, or if you played with slings before, once you've done it, like then it's just a challenge. I'm gonna try to use my belt. Like I'm gonna try to use this strap off on my backpack. Like I'm gonna try to use something I whittle out of something with 2 pieces of rubber band. Like anyway, just like a slingshot. Once you know how to work a wrist rocket, you start figuring out, oh, I can make something out of 2 pieces of surgical tubing and this antler, or I could make something out of that piece of tree and a piece of inner tube, right? Like I can make something out of a whole bunch of office supplies and a piece of chalkboard, or I don't know. You start being creative. So I don't know if slings were enough to kill it or what.
No, slings and slingshots I think would be really good. I kind of like improvisational weapons in general. Like, I mean, especially anything that you can just, make out of something from a trip to the hardware store, or just stuff you have around your house, or stuff in the wilderness. Like, sling, man, they've got when I was a kid, we had like what we called the Dennis the Menace slingshot, which was just basically a stick of wood. And then we had I think it was Crossman, which was this kind of metal, like the little wrist part folded on it, had the, surgical tubing. And that was the good one. And then the Dennis the Menace one had more flat rubber bands. And so we kind of had 2 choices of slingshots as a kid. And so we always wanted the Crossmans. And but nowadays, I looked on Amazon. I don't know, probably several months ago, I saw some really cool slingshots that just looked they had stabilizers on them, like the like bows do, and just it was crazy. I mean, I cannot believe the slingshots. They might have had those back when I was a kid too. I don't know, but man,
maybe at a gun show or something. I definitely don't remember seeing them at a store, but I don't know. I've definitely seen people with the kind that are like big fat rubber band, or maybe they're made out of car tires or something, but like a flat rubber instead of a tube, and maybe tied onto the stick. I don't know. I've never really had one. I've just seen them, but those are effective as hell. I've seen people work them things just as good as people with what I call a wrist rocket, the wire kind with the tube.
Yeah.
But to me, it's I guess it's like having a wood stock or a synthetic stock. I don't care how good a regular kind of slingshot with a flat rubbers on it can be, or is, or anything, or is capable of. I'm gonna always default to something made out of wire with tubes. I just like wrist rockets, everything about them. It's like a Lamborghini, and every other fucking car, I'm just always gonna pick the Lamborghini.
Now the wrist rocket, that's just that old Crossman one with the folding wrist piece, and right?
Yeah. I mean, there's
just that standard one that's been around forever.
Versions of them. I'm just thinking where there's surgical tubing basically and a little piece of leather instead of rubber bands, and I don't know how those attach. I guess they sometimes had a slit in the wood, and you would fold it or some shit. I don't know. Honda's out there petitioning for a BB gun. I don't have a problem with them. The spring type of BB gun, where it's at least in my experience growing up and being a dumbass kid, the spring ones lasted the longest, even though they weren't the most powerful. But they would take the most before I broke them, basically.
Boy.
I broke every BB gun I had. There's no BB gun I had that I didn't break running around with it.
Most of the variable pumps are going to be smooth bore barrels, which are fine for actual BBs. And the problem is that they're going to be inconsistent unless you're consistent. I mean, the variable pumps, the kind that you pump 10 times, like the Crossman 760s and Daisy 880s, those, if you pump at a different rate, let's say 8 shots, and 8 pumps, and you pump 8 pumps fast and shoot, and then you take 8 pumps and take your time, your velocity changes and your shots change. And so you have to be really consistent to get those guns to shoot really well. And plus, they're just they're cheap, like $30-40, but they don't have rifle barrels or anything. Get a rifle if you get one with a rifle barrel, most of those are going to start around 60-70 is where they're going to start at. Don't shoot BBs in them. That's the worst thing to do. Only shoot your rifle barrels. Well, either use it all for BBs and just consider it a BB gun. But even then, a lot of those overstabilize the BBs. So they don't have good accuracy. The smooth bores are often known to be better accuracy with BBs than the rifle barrels are. But just use the rifle barrels for pellets.
That's what I was going to. So you're saying then that you're basically taking the thing that has rifling in it, and it's made for shooting lead pellets out of it, and you're shooting a ball bearing down it made out of steel.
That's just slightly copper washed and not enough copper to actually compress.
It's only enough copper to not rust the steel ball.
Yes, not to actually compress in your rifle.
So yeah, they're basically, I never thought about that. I don't think I ever had a BB gun with a rifle barrel though. But my thing was, when I was a kid, the darts. I couldn't get enough darts. All I cared about was darts. Wasn't shooting BB guns for nothing. I mean, I guess I shot BB guns once in a while, but for me, it was all about the darts. For me, that was 22s. Like, I had a couple of 77s, but everything I had, I wanted 22 so I could shoot darts out of it. And even if it wasn't made to shoot darts, I would just jam the darts in there anyway, and just, down the barrel, muzzleloader style, and shoot darts anyway. But I never had that issue. So I don't think I had any, even when I bought the 22s, though. I don't think I had well, they must have had rifle barrels, I guess. If they were 22s, they wouldn't even have bothered. But
yeah, the 22s are all going to be rifle barrels, and everything bigger than that. Now they have 25, 30 cal, 45, 50 cal air rifles even. But the problem is like if you look at the price of the 30 cals, the pellets are expensive, and I mean they're real expensive. You can easily be upwards of $30 for 150 pellets. Whereas and it's not the same 308 bullet. Granted, there are a couple companies who chamber their air rifles to actually use a real 308 or 309 bullet, but the 30 cals are usually going to be like 3003. So you can't even use like your center fire bullets for them. You have to buy their special pellets, and they're really expensive. So the big bore air guns, you really don't save any money. The most economical big bore air guns, the 25 cal. As soon as you get anything over 25 caliber, you're going to be paying an arm and a leg for the pellets.
Yeah, you're right. And those, the ones I've seen that are that big have to have scuba tanks or air tanks to fill them.
Well, they got Springer. They got a Hotson 130 is a 30 cal Springer, and that's the biggest Springer as far as I know. Where it's just a break barrel.
Is that
Springer.
like a crossbow where you have to have like a?
No, it looks just like a regular break barrel pellet rifle.
Oh, really?
And it just has a massive spring in it, like a M220 or something spring, and it launches a 30 cal projectile that'll weigh 50 grains at 750 feet per second.
I was watching a dude do a review of, he's got a 50 cal air rifle in. Had it for like a weekend, so he needed help to do a review of it. Or he didn't have video back then. He was having me video it. Anyway, it needed scuba tanks or whatever, and it was a pain in the ass. And you'd get like 3 or 4 shots, and it would diminish quickly. Like you'd shoot 1 or 2 good ones, and then it would be like 4th, 5th, 6th was basically useless.
Yeah,
yep. Hard to shoot.
And the bigger the gun, the bigger the caliber, the less shots you're going to get on a PCP.
And that, it was all because you just can't get that much air into a thing.
They do have bicycle pumps, but those, I mean, trust me, unless you're planning on like, hey, this is going to be my daily workout or something, like stay away from the bicycle pumps on PCPs. Go straight for the air compressor. They're $300. Like, don't make the mistake I did. The bicycle pumps are just. Dude, it is not worth it. It does not make it. It makes like fun shooting horrible shooting.
No, I would call that like for people that really want to just do something extreme or unique, because
On the
there's
second reload, you're so wore out, you don't even want to shoot, and you're like shaky, and like your
well, there's
arms
no
are like
advantage other than to
like,
say you did it. It doesn't. All it does is put a bigger hole in the paper. Like there's literally no advantage. Like you say, you go down to a 25, like half the size pellet, and all of a sudden that same rifle can shoot 5 or 10 shots before it starts to shit out. I'm guessing, like it's just.
oh well, the 177. They all, a lot of them will have different size reservoirs, but a lot of the 177s can get over 30 shots. Oh, some of the 22s can get over 20 shots. A lot of the 25s can get over 10 to 20 shots. And then, but like the 30 cals, I mean, you're talking like maybe like 8 shots or something, and the 45s like 5 shots, the 50s like 3 shots, like type stuff. Like it's like,
yeah, that's about right, something like that. Yeah. But like I say, there was really no point. And in those 3 shots, you had to spend a while just to set up all the tanks. And it wasn't safe to leave the tanks. I don't think you could leave the tanks connected. So it's not like you could just shoot out of the tanks. You had to constantly fill the gun from the tanks, stop, shoot, fill the tanks from the gun, or the gun from the tanks, stop, shoot, and maybe 3 shots. Anyhow, right. That's all BB guns. Honda's saying he breaks BB guns also. But what about the blow guns? Those were like a big deal for a minute at gun shows when I was a little kid. And you got like a piece of wire with that little cone at the end. But they work. I mean, you can shoot accurately pretty far with them things.
My friend got into those, and he has like, I don't know, an 8-foot one. I'm not even joking. It's like 8.
Oh yeah.
I'm not even joking.
And they work good. They actually work good when they get long.
Oh boy. Like he can drive like not through like a piece of plywood, but pretty like, I mean, deep into it, to where if it was like a fleshy animal, like he could definitely kill a mouse or something. Like probably.
Well, that's the problem, is they don't do nothing. It's like acupuncture. Like you can definitely stick it into something and it'll just be like, hey, you stuck me with an acupuncture needle. Like it doesn't actually kill it.
It'd have to be poisoned or something with the.
Yeah.
That's how.
Or like 12 of them, or like right in its brain. I don't know if it's possible, I guess, just to kill something with it.
He also shoots paintballs with them. So he has paintballs that are made for the blowgun, and he shoots these paintballs.
Right. And that's where I think there could be some use, because even though like a marble or something would still maybe not get as good a range as a paintball, but those things can be accurate. And that's where I always got little ones that you could like carry around easy, and it'd shoot whatever out of them. But they used to make this thing that was plastic with like basically a big piece of metal in it, so you could shoot it, and it was supposed to make noise probably, but it would hurt the fuck out of someone if you shot them with it. But anyway, we get these ones that were barely as long as your forearm. Like they weren't like 13 inches long, maybe like just over a foot long. And they were impossible. Like you could never get good speed out of them. At some point, somebody brought a long one around, and it was amazing how much better the longer one actually works as an air gun.
Oh yeah, it was a big difference. And is like, because I think the first one he got was maybe like 3 feet, and it was like a jinky one, probably like just the cheap one, whatever the common thing you get. And he had that for a while, and then he got a bigger one that was probably like 4 or 5 feet, and then he ended up getting that 8-foot one. So he's like all into it, right? And like he can like, I mean, surprisingly far. Like I'm saying like 15 yards. That's like 45 feet. Like that's pretty far with like. And he can like peg things with that, like just on the spot, like really well. And like it doesn't, like these things don't have sights on them or anything like that. Like it's amazing. Like
no, you just get used to it.
Yeah.
And for me, what I would like it for is like just to maybe shoot a bug or like a rat or something. And even if you don't kill it, like you shoot a mouse or something with one of them things, like a big spit wad even. And it's going to leave. Like, it's not coming back if it's just, like, rummaging around. So, anyway, I just think those things, for what they are, a piece of aluminum, like you say, maybe the 4-foot one would probably be the optimal, 3-foot, maybe, so that's a little bit shorter. But anyway, for what they are, it's worth having it. And you could probably come up with some other use for it once in a while. And then the darts aren't nothing. Like have you ever done folded paper darts? I totally forgot about that. I don't know where I've seen that. It must have been on YouTube. So if you do a video, it must be out there, because anyways, you take a Post-it note size piece of paper, right? Whatever that is, about 3 inches square. You just take this one size piece of paper and you just sort of fold it into a funnel. That's not even origami or nothing. It's just you kind of just twist it into a funnel. And I think the lady was just taking licking her finger, or maybe she had some water and she was wetting the paper, and it's just sort of just making a little cone out of paper. And if you do it in such a way and you just do it tight, boom, it turns into the tightest little sharp little fucker. And yeah, all you'd have to do is make them things really close, and then take a razor blade once they're kind of dry and they stay a cone. Just take a razor blade and cut it right at the right size or whatever, and then either have your fins for a dart. You make a dart out of something, or just shoot those things. They wouldn't stick into wood or nothing, but you could definitely stick them into a marshmallow. Like, they would bother you if you shot somebody with one of them, they'd be pissed. And if you poked them in the eye, I'm sure it would do damage. I don't think it would hurt if you poked them right in the ear, but like I say, it would piss somebody off if they get pretty. I don't know. Imagine, putting paper into a cone. It gets pretty damn dense.
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
Anyway, you just make them really, really long or really, really sharp, basically like a really sharp cone. And then I think what I figured out is if you took a little bit of white glue instead of water, it worked really good, and it gave it a little bit extra weight. And anyway, I had like a big cigar box of them. And maybe I even did a video now that I'm thinking about it, because I remember making a bunch. It took nothing to make them. You could just sit there in the time we're talking here, and I would have made like a dozen of them. And then you just let them dry for a little while, and then you've just got these like free darts. And what's also cool is they're made out of paper, so if you shoot them at a cat or something, nobody cares. You just sweep them up. Or if you shoot them outside, nobody cares, because they're just little pieces of paper, newspaper or whatever. But for shooting flies or, like that bug assault, it's like a free version of the bug assault.
I still want that bug assault. My wife won't let me have it, though.
Haas has one, the guy in California that's into ham radios now instead of guns.
Yeah.
He had one, so we were shooting it at his place. Surprisingly accurate. It's just like a shotgun. It just like you'd think. It wails on the fly. It's amazing. It's really fun. I wouldn't do it inside, but outside it'd be great. Mainly because it just leaves dead flies and salt everywhere.
Well, I was kind of thinking, like, maybe I wonder how it'd work on, like, mosquitoes. Like, if you're out camping and mosquitoes.
Perfect. In the air, it would be challenging, but every time one landed, perfect. Again, you're leaving dead bugs and salt everywhere. So if you could do it, like, outside of a tent, that'd be better than inside.
Yeah.
All right. Well, as much fun as I'm having chatting, it's been good chatting, but I do have to get up.
Yeah, I do too.
I got a bit of bed to get up. So thanks everybody for showing up. The chat started off just being a two-way wrap-up, but we ended up getting a separate night crew came in, so we stayed up a little bit later, just BSing a bit. We'll be back every Friday. I'm about to sneeze, so I'm in this weird situation where I'm either going to sneeze or I'm not. But yeah, it really feels like I need to sneeze, but then it won't let me. Anyway, so thanks for showing up. We'll be back to pick you up later.